Okay, and with that, I shall kick things off. So, welcome, people, to the Weeklies 2023. This is our second week, Tonic of Transmogrification.
Trans tonic.
Transtonic. I'll probably just be calling it Transtonic for the rest of the stream.
It's so much easier to read. Why do we name it tonic of transmogrification?
Yeah, I know, right? What dorks. So, I guess
Who named it? Oh wait, it was me.
Who chose the atoms within it? Was that also you?
That was a coincidence.
So, fun fact.
That's a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, fun fact, the resemblance to the trans flag is actually an accident.
That's why it's not actually in the trans flag pattern.
And we just kind of rolled with it. But no, the idea of doing Regent choice was planned from the start. It was... I don't know how the idea originally came up, but it was a lot of, hey, Panic, do you reckon you can make this work? And of course, Panic said yes, because it's Panic. He's awesome like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of that for the implementation, but as with the puzzle design, it was kind of sort of just we tried to make an input. We tried to make an output that would have 3 viable min cycles inputs.
Yeah, because we wanted to actually give some meaning to the choice. And I think some was... Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know how many of you actually considered all 3, but, you know, it's there.
But yeah, there are 3 different regions that get you min cycles. Which ones? We will find out shortly. And for some, I don't know, I guess some was just we took a look at it and thought, you know, choice of regions should make some pretty diverse and interesting. And I think the some mains were happy with how this week turned out.
17 distinct reagents allow min cycles.
Oh.
I definitely do not know the other 14. Unless you mean triplex bonds.
Nah, it wouldn't be triplex bonds, surely.
You have to do bond preserving anyway, don't you?
You have to do. Yeah,
only 3 of them are not dumb. Yeah, those are probably the 3 that we had in mind.
It's just like putting a different atom in place of the salt and needing to calcify it.
That makes sense. We did not consider that.
Alright, just gonna have a look at the submission page real quick just to see where I'm actually starting, because a couple of these are like solves from people who didn't submit for cycles.
I assume there's spare latency if you make the salt a different atom.
Yeah, because the salt already has its bond, so it just needs to calcify, and there is already L equals 2 to do that.
Yeah. Let me open my parser as well, so I can watch as this is going.
Harry asking about the conveyor belt in your mechanisms tray. Yeah, why is the conveyor belt visible for you on this puzzle?
Because Zorflex does not deactivate unused mods.
Yeah, no, that's, I get the Infinifactory mod just in case. Also, I keep it on just in case I need this bad boy. Is that the one? No, this bad boy. Or either of them. Just in case there's like a long-ass waste chain, and I can just pop that on, and I can still delete the waste chain, and my stream won't lag. So if there's like huge-ass waste chains, I'm good. So that's actually why I leave Infinifactory mod on.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, I found that during Reactive Gold, I think. Until then, it was an accident. Okay, I'm gonna go with what I think is the first solve submitted for cycles, because there's a lot for some, but...
Let me go check for cycles. I think I kind of know which ones are the first for cycles. That one's a sub-solve, that one's a... username voice submitted. I didn't know.
I think it's 19th place.
Let me check. 2020. No, I think 20 is as well.
No, 20 has it in the title that it's not.
Do I have the right one? 20 says self-sustaining tonic for me.
Nope, that's 19 for me.
Okay, so are you sure you have the right hosts?
Alright, we'll just...
Am I sure I have the right hosts?
I'm just gonna go with it, if that's cool. Because I don't want to hold us up any longer. So, in what I have as 19th place, welcome once again. Welcome once again to the week. Oh, I didn't actually. Where is the puzzle?
Technical difficulties, please stand by.
Sorry, peeps. We've got a weird AHK this week because of the region choice.
Yeah, why is that 20th place for me? Who's not supposed to be in this list?
Do you have separate members of a team as one entrant?
Perhaps. That might be the issue. I don't know the teams.
Oh, you know what I think I have to do? Never mind.
Right, Rebix is in it.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
Rebix is in a team with Finder, right?
Yeah, so it is actually
and they both
19.
submitted. Okay. Let me add that in.
There it is.
What is
Got
their
it.
team name?
Fabix, I believe. Okay.
Fabix, okay.
Sorry. Okay, so in 19th place,
On the reagent list.
we have, oh yeah, so we have Yosh in 19th place. I'll quickly go over, this is the complete list of regents that I have used for this particular metric. Check out that quintessence.
Well, that looks different from the ones I have.
Alright. Okay, so this is by Yosh. So let me just go through this real quick. So the regent Yosh has gone with is this, which he has dubbed Stabilized Anti-Gravity Filament Segment. There's a bit of lore here, actually. Building upon previous research, it's found using a segment of a previously studied anti-gravity filament and stabilizing it can create a tonic that seems to alter the humors of whoever ingests it. Curiously, it appears to transfuse with the very essence of the person, drawing out their true form. Never before has such a property been researched. Thus, the Imperial University has given its elite alchemists access to the controversial glyph of animismus to study this behavior in more depth. Interesting note on the... We're getting trans tonics and the idea of transness into Opus Magnum lore. Very good.
Also, Zorfax, I think I know the issue. Do you have showcase linked in your lineage myself?
I didn't hear that.
Do you have showcases linked into your AHK?
Yes, but not this AHK.
You need to.
I'm pretty sure it works. I tested it earlier.
No, but the showcases won't work. Because it doesn't have the showcase inputs.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't want to hold the stream up any longer.
Alright.
Here's the actual notes on the design process. I picked the input because, well, with this, I only need to grab 3 inputs to make the output. It's also quite funny considering the input is a subset of the output, which will be a theme as we go down into Min Cycles territory. So I don't need to do much assembly since 6 out of the 8 atoms in the molecule are already where they need to be. Quite the fun puzzle. For the actual machine, I have quite a few remarks. The limiting arm in this solve is definitely arm 7, which with this current design forces the machine to operate at 8R. What I find quite funny about arm 7 is how every time it grabs a lone vitae, it's always on top of the hex where the vitae would spawn using the glyph of animismus. It's just this particular glyph seems to be broken half the time and doesn't actually yield a Mors when it's broken. I enjoy that the bonding station to the top right is always active and the near misses every time a new product is looped onto the bonding station. Also note the Mors disposal arm, or arm 11, almost colliding with the incoming region, becoming 2 vitae atoms. I don't know how I managed to squeeze so much stuff into this small footprint. Unfortunately, this is CGA and not CAG, so I may end up eating these words. I think you've done a fine job. I think this week has generated a lot of interest and even more submissions, so a lot of people would try harding this week, I think. Which is all in good.
I'm happy to see 8R as the lowest, for sure. This is like a good cycle. There's a lot of requests in chat to turn down the game audio.
Turn down the game volume.
Sure. The volume or just music? Or just...
Game volume.
Right.
The sounds of the machinery, that's like...
Yeah.
The SFX are getting a lot of clunks in the way of words.
Oh, okay. I see.
Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah, that's rather quiet now. Alright, thanks for the heads up. Okay, very, very good. I think we're at a good point where we can move on. Start looking at some other solves that get a little closer to min cycles. So,
this one is using only 3 inputs at 8R, so it's actually not input limited. We should be able to get to 6R pretty quick.
See if we got some 6R solve. We might actually have some.
Yeah.
A few, you know. A few. I'm kidding. Okay.
Funny thing is, a lot of mid-cycle solves are 6R.
Actually, it's a good point. In 18th place, we dropped down a couple of cycles to 58. We have Team Phoenix Terasaki. I believe that's how that's pronounced. We had a lot of teams submit this week, actually, which is really cool to see.
This looks like it's also 8R, but is kind of winning on the latency by putting the Animismus Vitae on second. It looks like Josh put the Animismus Vitae on first, which means that there was just a little more latency.
Alright,
New solution, one copy, 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 copy.
Oh yeah, on that note, the notes read funny copy name because I didn't realize I could rename solutions until after I finished the epilogue and I'm too lazy to think of names. That's valid.
I haven't clicked on Grimmy's link, but I think it's probably that I'm just a copy of a copy. Correct, completely correct.
So, another 8R solve. And you can see, I guess worth pointing out why this design wouldn't have been able to get min cycles because it's not at full throughput is because of the pivot here, which is pretty cool. It's pretty area efficient, but it blocks your region for an extra cycle, and then it delays the regrab anyway. But even without that delay, you could only have hoped for 7R with this because of that pivot.
It's also ARM 6, but yeah, you have to clear the indirect way.
Yeah, no, ARM 6 is probably the other reason, yeah. In fact, there's a couple of ARMs. ARM 10 is also very busy.
Oh yeah, snap overlays have been broken somehow. 17th place is already on there. Well, I guess y'all know who 17th place is.
That's really weird because I was going to skip that one because it's a sum solve.
Sum solve.
I see.
That's...
Did you actually press F10?
I don't think I fat fingered it, otherwise it would have loaded in.
Weird.
Huh, yeah, I didn't. Okay, hopefully that doesn't keep happening.
The AHK is whack today.
The AHK is a little
somehow
drunk,
more
everyone.
complicated.
It's a little drunk, everyone. I hope you don't mind. We will move on though. In 16th place, we will drop 5. We will drop 5 more cycles to Team 5000 Jam.
Okay, cool.
Recycling tissues. So there's a tissue reference, but no tissue bets were made. I made a tissue bet halfway through the week because of some dumb joke Grimmy made that I took way too seriously, and I feel like an idiot for now, but...
Wait, what?
What was the bet? What was the bet?
So the idea was to take this max 3 atom region idea and apply it to campaign puzzles and see what theory Min would get. And Grimmy made the joke that alchemical duel 75 is a lot easier now. And I'm like, wait, how the fuck is it easier? It's hard, it's impossible, I can't see a way to do it. I spent a solid 45 minutes trying to figure it out before it was finally revealed to me that Grimmy was joking, and the joke was that 75 is easy because it's easy to prove that it's impossible. And
I see.
I'm still very embarrassed about that, but that's a bit of midweek Discord lore.
Do 75 overlap.
Oh yeah, we are still 8R, but now out of necessity, because this input only allows you to make an output at 8R instead of 6R like the previous.
Yeah, so interestingly...
Oh yeah, this is the small input.
Yeah, so interestingly, this is the small input. So
this is the arcade animus input.
So, in the notes, it reads, the reason why I used 2 atoms for the region is because I thought the Vitae limited the output to 4 inputs per output, meaning 3 atoms would be more complicated than 2. Also feels smart for the way I assembled the output. But no, as was pointed out in Yosh's notes, there is a way to only need 3 inputs per output, which will, reduce the rate of min cycles. So Team 5000 Jams, for reference, is a team consisting of Jam U and 5381. It was really cool that we got so many teams because we still ended up with like almost 30 submissions. So this is really cool. What's a tissue bet? Alright, so tissue law is that when it was during a tournament and I was just feeling very confident about my TI solve, and so was Biggie. And Biggie and I made a bet that if Biggie beat me by more than 1 instruction, I would eat a tissue per instruction. And I had to eat 7 tissues. And eating 7 tissues is really hard. Fun fact, it took me like...
finish a quarter.
It took me like 3 hours or something, or 4 hours to finish the tissues, because, God, they ball up like a rock in your mouth. It was quite unpleasant, but, I wasn't going to back out of a bet. So now Biggie and I have tissue bets every year when the TI puzzle inevitably comes up. I didn't have to eat any tissues this year.
I didn't ever have to eat any tissues ever. I don't know why I'm the person involved.
You never actually agreed to eating tissues should you lose.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the cow, but that's never gonna happen, right?
I will one day see that it happens.
For those 7 tissues, I must now consume an entire cow.
That's a trade-off. That's a fair trade-off.
I feel like an entire cow is probably easier if you spread it over time.
Alright, so I think with that, the tissue lore out of the way, we can move on. Now we drop a solid 10 cycles to 43, and we have Ebenov.
So now we're at 6R.
So now we're at min rate-ish.
Right, there is a clock instruction at 13, so it is not mid-rate actually.
No, so this is actually, 13 over 2. 6.5R.
It is an attempt at min cycles that wasn't finished, it seems.
So it's cycle 12 that stopped this from being min cycles. So, is that the swing, or is it arm 12? No, it's cycle 12. Oh, there's like a really awkward handoff. That's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't. It's trying to do an every two motif with something that's way too big for an every two motif. So it actually can't get the arm out of the way. So it needs a handoff that blocks the output.
I can only zoom in, actually, despite the fact that this is 720G now. Cycles moment. So, alright, so we're seeing a bit of a convergence on this region, which I think is kind of telling. I think this was the one that I think this is the one that kind of most obviously comes to mind when you're looking at min cycles, because it's... I'm just gonna play around a bit, because it's so obviously part of the product. You just need one there, a second one there, and you take your third region, you animismus the two salt likes, or you use and you use this vitae, and you get 2 vitae out of that, and that's 3 per. And you also get that at min latency, because you can just throw one on at the end, and you only need 2 cycles of bonding, and there's no way to get less than 2 cycles of bonding. It's L equals 2. So
and we made sure of that.
yeah.
It would be possible to have
sure
L
of
equals
whatever
1
input you use.
if you permitted 3 separate single atom reagents. It would be possible to have L equals 1.
Definitely, yeah.
Going with salt, vitae, needing the Burlow involved and getting a 38 cycle, that would suck.
Let's be honest, that would be a lot more annoying. I guess it would make for a deeper cycles theory challenge, but a lot more annoying as well.
You know, that's less of a then you actually are forced into a choice. You wanted the variety.
I like this because it was a secondary race.
Yeah, we're gonna be approaching min cycles pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about min cycles, I guess, because we are getting pretty close to it. But in 14th place, we do not drop any cycles just yet. It's a secondary drop. We go down to 445G, and this is submitted by Alex. And it's titled Noob Solution. But he's already beat quite a few people, and he's only 4 cycles off min, so...
Yeah.
It looks like it's at 6R. It's building 2 outputs per tape loop with track loops. Really duplicatory. That's pretty neat. Actually, this one has the error in the end point instead of the middle, so it's using duplicators.
It is using
This is a new input for cycles.
It is a new input. It is not optimal input, but it's new.
Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, this input cannot hit 39 because the error in the middle would need to duplicate in addition to 2 bonding steps. So this one caps at 40, but...
It is interesting to see this, though. That is not a region I thought we would see today. Because
it almost looks like the reagent everyone else is using.
Yeah, it looks like the reagent that most people are using, but it's not quite.
Kazian pointing out the ISO banana reagent.
ISO banana.
As you can see, there's also a version where it was 2 salts. I think it's by the same person.
So yeah, I guess with this region, you get the L equals 2 bonding, but you need to necessarily drop, I think it's another 2 or another 1 cycle for the duplication bit.
It's another 1 cycle, but Kali Reeses points out this is also more convenient for animismus if you're trying to build it as fast as possible without, batching tactics.
That might have inspired the pick for this region, because you do actually get easier animismus. So that could have been like a consideration that was made at the start of the solve. Alright. It was a really cool solution, Alex, though. Thank you for submitting it. With that, we will move on. To 13th place, we drop 2 cycles to 41. This is submitted by Please Lol. Alright, new region unlocked.
It's the V-band.
I was referring to them in Notes of Panic as less than symbol and V. Less than being the banana shaped one, and this one being the V.
Yeah, for me, like to myself, I just named them the 60, 120, and 180.
If anyone's doing 180 for cycles, I would love to see it. It just did not seem like it was actually going to be a good cost.
The 180 is actually not in my regent trait, so
I guess that spoils no one tried to put their cycles solution with it.
I guess that answers that question.
No, it should do it for all of them.
Yeah, there was definitely at least one submission that used
There's definitely that.
Huh. Okay, it remains to be seen whether that will be a problem, or if it will just load the regent later. I'm not actually sure.
This, along with the others that haven't yet been in cycles, is trying to build one input into, or 3 inputs into one output, and then you are limited by the speed at which animismus is available. If you do latency counting, whatever the error is, if it has 2 bonds, you need to do 2 unbonds, 1 calcify, 3 steps of animismus, and at least 1 bonding step.
And there's
That's
a
a
regrab.
slow
Yeah.
process.
So there's one regrab here. So that's 1 latency that's cost on that regrab. Am I missing another regrab? Am I missing another latency? Where is the other one?
I mean, the other one is because you're tracking the Vite's path instead of the actual final output's path.
Right, that's why I can't see it.
It is fundamentally limited if you're not actually using Vite from... Like, if the age of the input that is going into Vite is only 2 pulls later than... or 2 pulls earlier than the final input you grab for the output, then it just can't be min latency.
Right, okay. I'm with you now. See, I would have been an interesting metric.
There's several missing inputs. There's supposed to be a triple error as well.
I wonder if this will lead into more technical problems. I'm going to attempt...
That is weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm going to attempt to push on though. In 12th place, we have our first min cycle solve. So, for those of you playing along still not sure, min cycles is 39. Can't get lower than 39. I will confirm that right now. In case you're wondering there was a fancy trick to get to 38, there is not. It is 39. Now, first one is 875G by Bambi. It's a very densely packed solution.
Oh my goodness, pistons and tracks, oh my.
This is actually a DA solution.
3 glyphs of animismus.
Jesus.
Oh my god, my stream is doing horrible. My internet sucks.
So to get 39, you need to create 6 Vitae from animismus, but they have to be done early enough, kind of pre-built. So I'm just trying to figure out where the animismus glyphs are that are trying to get things out early.
Jeez, there is a lot of swinging around here. Alright, so let's really slow it down here.
There's so many places Vitae just goes. And not, to me, a ton of justification for why. So one thing we should do probably is see which input grab numbers are actually Vitaified. Because it looks like
Let me slip.
the first three of them are all made into Vitae, 3 separate animismus glyphs. Then the next 6 become output. And then the next 3 are Vitaified again, and the next 6 become output. So this is trying to do batching in 3s, which I calculated was going to be pretty tight pathing.
Yeah, so it's trying to pre-build all the Vitae into 3 different animismus
It's trying to
stages.
pre-build 3 outputs worth of Vitae,
Yeah.
and then kind of clean the board minus mores, and then do the same thing again for the next 3 outputs.
I am really enjoying this slow-mo, by the way. Thank you for your modding efforts, Mr. Puzzle. Actually helps so much when you're analyzing busy cycle solves like this. 6 molecules is enough if you're demigender.
Yeah, is this supposed to be like a magical, you take it once and you're fully transitioned, or is this like hormones and you have to kind of just get an ongoing prescription?
I feel like that's a question for Bisk to answer. I don't...
Is your alarm telling you to take a trans tonic, or is it already transed?
Oh, we lost Bist. That's okay. Question for when she gets back then.
Oh no, I'm back. I've been working on my internet.
Oh.
I forgot that I wrote the lore. Right, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, do you just take one trans tonic and it's like you're good? Or do you have to take it regularly?
No, you just take one and you're good, and it's probably painful, but you know.
Probably, I don't know.
Probably painful, I do not know.
Alright. Gonna move on.
I promise Min gets easier to understand.
I imagine as it gets cheaper,
Also,
it might...
so there are definitely inputs missing. I'm going to send you the new AHKs.
Oh, okay. Alright.
So be sure to put those in proper. I'm sending them in the Weeklies chat. But you'll need to copy paste over the data with the solution files, because and make sure you do the showcase one, because these are not correct inputs.
Alright, we'll do that for the top 10, so I'll just do one more, and then we'll have a mini break as I work that out. So in 11th place, we have Spiritual Shampoo. Significant drop to 535.
He said this was his day one effort. This is on a period 12 loop, so it's actually creating just 2 outputs. That's really slick, actually. To be able to get min cycles on 12 cycle loop, I thought was too tight of pathing because I'd already committed to a way of assembly.
Oh yeah, our first min cycle solution with a rate. So this one's the first 6R solve, I think. Was it? Or maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Alex had a 6R solve too.
no wait, that's right.
Yeah, so my assumptions were that I wanted to have only one animismus glyph and only one assembly station. So I thought that 12 instruction take loop was actually impossible, and it is according to those requirements, but this is showing that those aren't really requirements. You can just kind of sprawl out a little bit and get it to work. This is the basis for a good CI solve.
Another... Yeah, it could be possible Spiritual Shampoo was another CI, could have been really interesting opinion haver. That was a sentence. 12 instruction tape loop, 1 animismus is possible, but not with this input. Is an interesting note by Grimmy.
Yeah, Greeny thought more about other inputs. I definitely did not consider inputs besides this one for cycles. Some was the only place I was actually allowing there to be variety.
Is there a fact? What's the syntax for inputting teams again?
Sorry?
What's the syntax for inputting teams again? I know I wrote this. I wrote this code, but I forgot.
Oh, alright, let me damn it to you. Alright, I might just officially
Imagine making
say
comments.
we're gonna take a few minutes to just sort out this AHK problem. Before we get
Because
into
you
the
definitely do not have the right inputs that Vitae Fire Salt thing is supposed to be. Vitae Air Salt.
So, apologies, but we'll be back in a few minutes.
It shouldn't take too long.
Yeah.
Was there a change that, like, do you know what happened?
Yeah, Zorflex, when did you download this one? This specific AHK?
This is the one I used last week. Well, yeah, pretty much right after the stream.
Yeah, that one's an old one.
Mm.
That one's the broken one. We fixed
that
it like midway.
Oh yeah, the one with the typo.
Yeah, the one with the typo, so you're definitely using the wrong one. Also, you have to include the showcase folder, because the parser of the main ones actually work with it, have to read from the showcase folder as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess for context for anyone listening, the way that this presentation is happening is that all of the solutions, like the reagents from all of them, are combined into one big puzzle, and then as it swaps the solutions in, it replaces the index in the solution file for which input it is with the index in the big puzzle file of which input it is. So there's a little bit of work that has to be done in this solution swapper. And
Yeah, and there was an issue with the old parser that Zorflex did not know we fixed and did not replace, it seems.
yeah. But yeah, this week
Zorflex,
is a little
test
bit
your
of a-
AHK!
It's fine. This solution was, this week was definitely a bit of a technical Rube Goldberg machine, so please bear with us.
Alright, let me check if this was the right one. No, this should be the right one. Yeah, you definitely have the old AHK Zorflex. So you'll have to use the new ones I sent in the Weeklies chat.
I'm trying
and
to get
copy over.
I'm trying to get the new one working.
Yeah. And copy over the data you have from the old ones for the folders and whatnot.
Alright, is that better?
Let me check the stream to see your inputs. You still didn't include the showcase file.
Yeah, also it's missing some of the ones that we had before somehow.
No, that's the showcase ones. So in fact, they didn't include the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a gold earth gold,
Yeah,
which was actually
There was a Quint one, right? That we saw before?
Yeah, that was also an issue of like the old one. There wasn't actually any Quint. None of the solves used Quint from my.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that was actually a bug.
I see. That was the same one. That was the typo where I wrote an and instead of a percent sign.
C programmer mistake.
Yeah. It's just when you see a 15, you want to put the and before it instead of the percent sign.
C programmer who thinks in C. Mistake. I don't think at that same level of C, even though I coded it. That's just really, you think bytes and bits.
Well, yeah, you just see that so often, like and 15. I mean, I guess maybe.
it's a lowest 4 bits mask. It is a thing you see. I would not think often the way you do.
Yeah, and 0xf is probably better way to write that. But yeah, it does seem to be working now. Just need to get the
Just
showcase.
Zorfax didn't include the showcase folder, so it's missing the showcase inputs.
Right, so the way it works is that it has to look at all of the solutions so that it can get all of the reagents it needs in the first part of the AutoHotkey, so then it's prepared for the showcases.
Oh no! I know what actually happened. It's not that I didn't include showcase. It's that I didn't.
It's the wrong folder.
It's it's Panic's computer that it thinks it's looking in.
Did you not
pad.
replace it?
Yeah, that's what I didn't.
Like
do.
You didn't replace the pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming that happened. It just looked at showcase and ignored it.
I mean, it probably looks correct except the wrong name in the folder.
Yeah. But like maybe Zorfax was going through it when he was setting it up and was like, showcase? Nah, we don't need that.
No, that's not what I would have done.
Or it's just, you know. Also, are they playing chess in Twitch chat?
A4. There, I made a move.
It's good we're doing this now though, because I think it would have messed some
It
stuff
would have
up.
definitely caused an issue, like, with the following solutions, because I looked at the following... I know the following solutions, and some of them use the inputs we are missing. The showcase would have been an entire mess.
Yeah, I mean, we could have figured it out in the break before the showcase for those songs.
Yeah, probably, but, like, the problem was, since it was the old files, there was an issue of, you know, missing some of the inputs. There we go, that's the right one.
Yeah.
Is it? That looks the same as before.
You have to reload the solve. This I think
Yeah.
this saves the.
Press F10. There we go.
Yeah, there they are.
Jesus.
Yeah, these are the correct inputs.
What
These
the-
are showcase inputs.
Much more informative.
There we go.
Alright.
Okay, cool. Thank you for bearing with us.
Alright.
We now return to your regularly scheduled Opus Magnum tournament. Oh no,
Okay.
Weeklies content.
Alright, we're done with the. Alright, so. Unless. Whoever's winning the chess game, wrap it up. Because, find a smother mate or something for me. Because we are back to Opus Magnum. Alright.
I knock your king off the table.
Alright, so now we
No,
get
I
into...
replaced your king with a queen. That's on topic for the puzzle.
Okay, so, in 10th place, at 500G, hold up, is Wooch Push. We can zoom into this one.
Oh yeah, Yosh making the claim that iron, air, copper has the gender markers on the iron and copper, so you should shitpost using those atoms. And air allows us
No one
to
used iron or copper!
Oh, that's.
Damn. Does that mean Surrender Flavor is secretly the gender changing potion that we've had all along?
Wow.
Okay, so you can see the animismus kind of goes around this really cool hex track loop here. Just to make sure animismus is coming through here regularly down, because there are two spots that it comes down, so It's a very, very set station. I quite like this idea for min cycles.
Yeah, this is what I converged on, the sort of vibe of that exact multi-bonder for building things and then needing to bring Vitae in from 2 spots above it. Just the question is, how efficiently can you provide those Vitae cost-wise?
Pretty much. And so I guess we're gonna see this like happening a bit more often. Or we've seen this question kind of answered in different ways, because here it's kind of answered with a bunch of arms at the top and like it's a cool looking hex loop, but it is not a cheap hex loop. It has to be said.
Yeah, that's 4 arms and 6 tracks, which is 80 plus 30,
You
110.
can save 10 gold free here by just removing the lower calcifier, because every salt that goes over it eventually hits the other calcifier.
Huh. Oh, it does. Or you can remove the top calcifier.
Damn.
It doesn't
No,
matter.
the top calcifier is not universal, because some of the ones that go
okay.
only up do have to get calcified there.
10 gold save, does that matter?
Actually, it almost did, but not quite. Alright, which is
Let me
because our
check.
next solve also comes through to 490G. This one's submitted by Team Still Not a Jasper.
Back to 2 Animismus.
Oh,
Stick input!
I'm here thinking, finally, some good fucking notes. Knowing that this was submitted by, the notes were written by Kazian, I'm pretty sure this is mostly Hello Jasper. So the notes read, actually let me slow this down. There we go. Frankly, I am completely clueless with regards to high throughput machines, so I cannot comment in depth, but my correspondent makes fast machines look easy. The device is highly separated and easy to understand, aside from edge-most arms here and there to save a gilder or 2. We would love for the 2 central arms and their 3 sections of track to be a single multi-arm, but alas, we are a cycle too short.
So this magic swing in the middle that bonds the 2 sticks together facing opposite directions without any extra cycles in between is the key to making this stick input work.
Yeah,
Needs more
definitely.
glyphs to do it, but it is really cool looking.
So it is it's the very first, no, not the very first swing. I take that back. So it's this swing coming
Yeah,
off
it's
here.
this-
So
Yeah, that one connecting to the one that's swinging, and then the same thing again right after. Because it has to happen two more times.
and then from there, it's a matter of getting the Vitae bonded. And this first one kind of gets out of the way just barely in time, with a couple of different arms. So you can see
And Alpha's just in time.
this first one gets re-grabbed. Oh wait, we got to move her over on a track. Oh wait, we got to move it over onto the output. And the second one comes sweeping in at min latency and just barely doesn't clip it.
Yeah, this one is using the first and third and fifth outputs spare latency as hard as it can. But yeah, I did look at the line input and determined that it would need a lot of bonders at the end and did not really pursue it, but seeing it happen, this is actually really slick, especially that pair of rotates.
And it's kind of nice because this kind of Vitae just plops immediately on before the magic swing and it's on the outside anyway. So I really like how the geometry works out for that one. And the second Vitae bonding station also kind of is designed with the min latency second output in mind. So I think this is pretty well organized and is a good showcase for why the straight region might be a good idea here.
Imagine
Straight read.
Oh, so
Hey, you can be trans and straight.
You can.
You
Yeah,
can.
You're right, you're right.
Alright, that was
And it
cool.
crashes.
Yeah, it immediately crashes. it was part of the impetus for slowing it down was because I didn't want to deal with the crash screen too often.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so beating this by 5 Gilda at
Oh boy.
485 is Team Sai Jondras, which I believe is John and Friends. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that as well.
Actually, let me play it on full speed to start with. Then we might slow it down.
Does this one crash? This one crashes.
This one's a batch of 3 like Bambis,
No.
except it only needs 2 enemies.
It actually doesn't.
Oh no,
crash.
this one doesn't. Right. Yeah, it does.
It looked like it
I forgot
would.
this is the team that does that.
It looked like it would because all the Moors really starts building up.
Yeah.
There's this really cool waste chain. That's very appreciated.
And it even uses the same glyphs and arms to make it that are already there, so it doesn't have to add.
Sai, John, and Dress.
The access issue is why it needs to bring in new inputs to actually make this waste stick, but it totally works. Yeah, this one is doing batching of 3, which the reason I avoided batching of 3 was because it meant that you couldn't reuse arms very well, where batching of 2 meant that glyphs were awkward. But yeah, it works. This is a really cool song. So the second and so the first and third input go to the lower animismus, and the second goes to the left, and that gives you your 3 pairs of vitae to make the first 3 outputs. Then it all just resets with some waste.
I think my favorite part of this solution is the top at the very end, the way the actual final 2 cycles of bonding is handled. I think plays to the strength of this reagent. And as Biggie's kind of alluded to, there's a lot of setting up involved to get that to look as nice as it does, and that is the bit where it can get like arguably a little pricey compared to some of the later solves. But the idea is still there. Try and get this set up real nicely. Get this like 5 atom kind of partial product out of the way, ready to go, and just bring the last one over. So I think that was kind of the idea that this solve was built around, if I had to guess. So I guess the main question this machine tries to answer is what's the best way of kind of setting that up.
I like its Cartelli.
That is a solid Cartelli. That's a good point. Alright. And with that, we shall move on. In 7th place, we drop down 20 G to Cali Rhesus at 465.
Stick and flip once again.
This the 180 makes a return.
So this is going to be doing 2 different bonding stations, unlike... no, it's 1 bonding station. It's just that there's a lot of action above.
Actually, I really
Okay,
like how...
interesting. That,
Sorry.
yeah, the arm that has to do so many rotates to get vitae to the multi-bonder.
Oh, and I think it's just gonna crash. So
Mad Master pointing out that Arm 4 does a pog swing, where it has to go around something to allow it to swing back.
at the bottom.
Yeah, Arm 4 and 8 do the pog swing.
Oh, it does. And
Hell yeah, pog swing in real life.
Yeah, you can see Arm 4 is deliberately coming back out here to set up the pog swing. And then comes back to bond
Nice.
as the salt gets out of the way. Moves on to Animismus. And I do also just kind of like the way this is set up so that you can just kind of bring this one stick one way, get the pivot in to get the vitae bonded, and then just move it out a bit while the other one comes swinging back down. And then this like Animismus station up top, which is what Arm 6 has been doing this whole time, kind of brings the Vitae down to the bottom while other bonds are being formed to get into a snugly fitted output towards the middle head. The instructions in many of these look terrifying. Oh, dude.
Yeah, welcome to the world of 6P.
Yeah, because what a lot of these cycle solves will have to do is to, like, you don't just program out one output. You have to program out 2 or 3 or 6 of them to actually get to the finishing screen in few enough cycles. Because it's so intensive and the timing is so tight, some arms just don't have time to reset. So you have to put another arm on a track loop and suddenly double your entire track length, instruction tape length.
Yeah,
I think this is a good candidate for CI, though. It could have probably been in only 12, but it needs to have a waste handling without extra cost.
It's actually the waste... okay. So
yeah, Kelly even says the exact same in chat. It would be period 12, but to save a bonder, the waste handling is 60.
Okay, so in this particular case, it's scarier than it looks, because it's really just this Moors down here. Where this one arm...
Yeah, this one is one. This one is basically 1P, but like it has Morse handling.
So there is a version of this with if I were to just like have 2 disposal glyphs at the same time, if that was possible, you could just easily make this 1P. I mean, yeah, I do mean 1P.
It would be 2P.
Sorry, 2P.
It is having to build 2 in a batch every single time because there's 2 animismus glyphs. There's a latency squeeze.
Right, yeah, okay. Alright. With that, we will move on. We drop 5 gold down to Mr. Puzzle, who are no longer undefeated.
Jeez, okay.
Unfortunate.
This is a ways away.
The categories are pretty competitive this week.
It's the 60 input.
Alright. I think this is the first min cycle solved to use the V input.
If you're curious about how the 60 input works, here it is.
Oh. Okay, so... It's a lot of setting up here to get all the Vitae involved before you can really start outputting very much.
This one's doing a full 6P. Like the very first 6 outputs all go upwards, and then all the other outputs go downwards.
Alright,
also, the V input just has so much more bonding complexity. It's not even able to use like a single multi-bonder.
Alright, so let's read the notes here. Triangle piece was used since it seemed rather convenient. Pre-building can be rather slow since half of the Vitaes come direct on the product. So the focus was on getting that portion of the build rather cheap. Hex arms are great storage tools. That was by RPO. Funny optimization moment. It is cheaper and smaller to just leave Moors all over the place. That is Mr. Puzzle.
Yeah, who needs waste handling when you can just leave them there?
Honestly, the disposal glyph is kind of lame anyway, let's be real.
Which Bush is the only person so far who has had a single animismus glyph in their min cycles solved?
That's a good point.
We'll see a lot of those coming up.
I did kind of, expect to see a few more single animismus stations by now, but we haven't really...
It's because they're all so much cheaper.
Yeah. So, there's a drop coming up somewhere.
Look at all those unused arms that used to load the animismus. You have double of them because you have 2 animismus.
I think that's the main thing, that, like, if you can get one animismus bonder, like, station, like, if you can just use one animismus glyph, you just have, because the animismus glyph, like, kind of necessitates having a lot of arms around it when your cycle's optimizing to make sure everything's coming in fast enough. You don't really get, like, the luxury of, like, multi-using animismus arms. So, cutting down on animismus glyphs as much as possible I think is a very good play, and I think the later solves will show that. But not the next one, because in 5th place is we're still at 460G. We just dropped down in area from 162 to 127.
Oh boy.
So who's laughing at the disposal glyph now? Oh wait, no, there's still no disposal glyph.
The disposal glyph actually makes you have more area.
Cuckoo52, who said that their sum solve has a higher sum than their cycle solve. Their cycle solve at least looks high effort. Look at the area wasted by our mate, though. It's just not gonna matter because they didn't use X arms.
Amazing.
Yet they still won the area tertiary battle.
Okay, so same final output idea that Team Johndras used. We're just trying to get everything set up for this final 120-degree region to just come in, bond itself, get that middle bond happening. So it's the exact same idea, really, but I think here it's just been set up a lot cheaper.
It doesn't reuse the tribonder though, which it definitely can, and we will see people who do that use that translated it leftward in this case to just reuse that part of the tribonder. Because as of now, I don't think that part is it used?
Sorry?
As of now, I think part of that tribonder isn't used.
The bottom one I don't think is used.
Oh, the
Wait.
bottom? Well, I mean, like, we have to wait for it to reset because this one resets.
It still is used in the sense that you can't get 39 without a multi-bonder, so it's not possible that you could have replaced it.
Okay, it is used, but yeah.
Oh no, all three of them are used. Never mind. All three parts of it are used.
Yeah.
I think it's just being grabbed on the wrong place to get the pivot that you need.
Green points out in chat that minus that unneeded cal from which pushes solve, we would have, the last 6 solves would have been within 30G of each other.
Boy.
And there's a lot of costs still to save, I confirm.
Okay, so there's been a much alluded to drop. We will take. It's a drop. It's a 30G drop. So
Just the measly 30G.
you know, it's not like the last 6 solves
That
were
was 6
also
placements.
within 30G of each other. So we take that length of a drop to 430G for Team Fiesta Land.
Trackless.
B shape.
So, interesting notes here. Let me read these. Despite the extra glyphs, 2 Animismus pre-build stations ended up being cheaper for us than 1. Would not be surprised to find that there is a better way. We also found that the compactness of the V input was geometrically easier to handle than the 3 stick input. Although both have a theoretical min of 39, as best as we could calculate, those were the only 2 options that could get under 40.
Oh boy, they
Seeing
missed
the 120 that allows you to do it with fewer bonders?
The best one? Actually,
And
I
that's
don't,
the
know, I don't
120.
actually know if it's the best one, but it was the first one that I found to work without like needing any help. I was like, wait, that one works.
Yeah, we intentionally designed this puzzle to make all 3 work.
Right.
That was intentionally designed. That's why the bonds are the places they are.
Yeah, that's kind of where the shape came from originally, actually. And
Yeah.
the colors just so happened to already be those colors, and we were like, oh.
The first
Happy
The
Pride
first
Month.
version was actually basically Curious Lipstick. That was the first shape we had.
Yeah.
But like, it slowly turned into this thing.
It should be said though, despite that, this is still 4th place
I mean, this is a
in
totally
what is
solid
in
solve.
what is a competitive week. So
Yeah.
I'm almost willing to declare the strategy that I think is coming up as secret sauce.
I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grimmy and I, like, this does not beat my initial solve either, but it's only 5 gold short.
Okay, I have a question for you, Biggie. Knowing how far away from your solve, how confident would you say that you are feeling like a top 2 solve?
No, I'm not confident, honestly. You just asking that question means, oh shit, I'm next.
Yeah, I should have, before I asked this question, were you confident?
We should have expected.
I'm pretty sure Grimmy's like 30 gold better than me because I improved my sum by 30 on the last day.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do take an 85 gold
Next
drop.
up, at 345 gold,
So,
we have.
Let's go third, and this is also Team 42's, but yeah, this is all me making it.
I did not actually remember to put in Team 42, sorry. So, we just take a giant mammoth drop in cost, considering how tight the shades have been.
These are the 6-piece solutions that slowly load the inputs and then throw them in.
Yeah, this is identical to Witch Pushes, except instead of 6 arms on a hex track, I have a hex arm on 2 track, and then everything else is cheap as possible, as far as I could find it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very efficient pivot. This might be pivot of the week.
Ooh.
Pivots of the week.
Yeah, the pivots on the hex arm, I needed to fit 4 of them. I had a longer hex arm at one point that needed only 2 pivots to get them into position, but it's less area to use a length 2 hex arm than a length 3 hex arm.
Alright, so I won't declare pivot of the week just yet because we do have the sum category coming up, and also the next 2 cycle solves could have some very good pivots. But we have an early
This
front
is a good
runner.
contender.
It's a contender. So reading the
The
notes.
title is Because I Want to Quaff the Tonic.
Alright, so Biggie's notes read: my impression of the cycles theory here was that the bent 3-atom Saltaire Vitae was the clear winner. It was the most convenient available input that could hit min cycles. Vitae and 2 salt likes was the only way to hit n equals 18. Every way of attaching 3 connected atoms into this output takes 2 latency, so min is 39. With the bent shape, you could do the final assembly on a single multi-bonder. 1 input becomes 2 Vitae, and 2 others become the left and right end caps of the product, which is a good way of putting it, I think. But because of latency going from input through debonding, calcification, and animismus, the first output could never be on cycle 9, so we determine how many need to be batched together. For the sake of cost, it is ideal to have a single animismus glyph operating with minimum 4 cycle repeat time. This suggests that our best outcome is to actually batch the whole thing. Batch of 2 comes up 1 cycle short at min latency. Batch of 3 means having a tight route and taking an odd number of inputs before loop, which is awkward for merging arms. So I used the abundance of latency to try to eliminate any storage arms apart from the hex that pulls even inputs, and eliminate any track loops. The result here is doing exactly what I think needs to be done to hit 39 and nothing more. Started at 425, had iterations of 415, 405, 395, and then a clear jump to 345. Several different versions of 345 exist, but this one had the lowest area. All iterations were shared in the Team 42 DM with Mora and Genius 42. Mora as a playtester is just watching along. Genius offered some testing and advice along the way.
Has Mora actually done any playtesting?
I think the point is that she's in our. She's like a weekly.
Mora's
Yeah,
a
she
weekly
just-
host.
she
can't
just in the
playtest.
She just vibes in the weekly chat.
She just vibes in the 42 DMs as well. She smiles every now and then.
I don't think she's actually even checked the results while they were coming in.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. It really, I wouldn't have said this at the start of the stream, but this is probably secret sauce. This just use one animismus glyph lol idea.
Just use one anime lol.
just have less anime.
Did Grimmy tie the costs?
No, Grimmy
No,
beat
Grimmy
the
did
cost.
not.
No,
Not
so
with you.
A 10G drop will bring us to Grimmy in second place.
At 335 and 103 area.
Oh, interesting. Fewer arms.
The MVPs of this solve are, in the notes, the spare input being processed at no cost using only downtime in existing machinery, and the top track loop, which manages to run at period 10 with only 2 arms, thanks to the fancy way the pipelines are interweaved. You have a... the pipelines are ordered... Give me a sec, sorry.
Gotcha. The top track loop, I had one of those that needed 3 arms, and so it was just another 345 for mine. But Greamy managed to get it in 2 arms, so it's 325 on mine, but 335 on theirs.
So, despite the simple-looking machinery compared to other cycles solves, the pipelines themselves are very closely weaved and mixed up here.
Yeah.
Just
Very
a-
compact.
just a
Really
of
did
very
a
good-
lot of work on area secondary shape, area tertiary saves.
So I guess the other thing worth mentioning is that we have seen this idea a couple times where people have used this bent input to just whack it on to the rest of the output with a tri-bonder. But the other solves all like went and used a separate bonder to get that final air bond. This one just kind of shuffles it back over the multi-bonder.
Yeah, Biggie Solve used a pivot for that, and this one uses.
And yeah, Biggie Solve would have done that as well. Yeah, true.
One of the other 345s that I made did that, like sliding the other direction over the multi-bonder, exactly like Grimmy does here, but it needed 3 arms on that triangle track loop, which made it more expensive than this. Grimmy's magical 10-cycle track loop is the key to having the saving arm here.
Okay, so it'll be this triangle track loop up here that I believe is worth paying attention to. Those are some really cool instructions, actually. I'm just looking at the tape loop for these, and they're all like, they're getting a lot of work done in that 10 cycle loop.
Yeah.
So they have arm 5 here. Does it to rotate, pivot, translate, rotate, bang, reset.
Also, I love how the input just passes, like, one of the buffers just passes through the input.
Right?
Yeah, I had at one point in my solve a diamond track with 2 arms on it, but it was not taking any good advantage of its downtime because it could not reach any buffer things.
Yeah, this bit coming up. And it just kind of whooshes right through.
That's one of those beautiful inputs don't spawn until after movement moments.
Alright. Unfortunately, Grimmy, despite the tertiary
Yeah, we
saves,
expected
you
him.
were beaten on tertiary. In fact, you were beaten by 5 hexes.
Oh boy.
I'm back, baby. V1.4. This is Team Fading.
So about that stick input,
It's
is-
with frickin' stick.
The bent
about
Adam,
that stick input,
the bent regent did not win. It was not actually the outright best regent. It was the stick input that was equally as good. So,
Look
I
at
mean,
all these
like-
extra bonders. Why do you get to have all these extra bonders and still be cheaper than me?
okay, so
well, Grimmy did say that they could make the combine Biggie and Grimmy Soft to make a 325, but as of now, this one wins.
So, I'll have a read of the notes because the notes have a lot of the choice of input. So this is the section called choice of input. 1.
Oh boy.
We need to go fast, so use all 3 atoms. 2. The math of 1 VT plus 2 salt like thankfully works out to a nice 3 inputs per output. 3. Looking at how the last inputs can be used to form the output, it becomes clear we need to minimize the things we need to do with the centered air atoms, meaning the input should have bonds we can reuse for the output. This leaves us with 3 possible shapes, all with an air and all with an air atom in the center. The 60-degree bend, 120-degree bend, and straight. 120 seems inconvenient, as we'd need to fill in Vitae closer to the center with more bonds instead of at the outside. 60 degrees is annoying to disassemble because it can't be slid off the input, so straight it is. The others probably still work, but I don't know, I haven't tried.
So they just didn't try the 120?
They just didn't bother.
They just didn't bother with the 120 and just won anyways.
I mean,
I mean, it works. Just need 20 volts with the bonders more.
I thought, looking at the other 39s, that the straight input was a solid choice. It seemed pretty good with the cool geometry tricks you could do with it. Some of which are featured right here. If you have a look at the way...
you know, the extra bonders makes it feel like it's less efficient, but somehow you can get within the same amount of cost.
Yeah, it's just got so few arms. It doesn't need very many arms. Which is such an interesting point of difference.
How many arms does this have compared to the previous one?
Alright, so this has 9 arms total.
Yeah,
It's
and
bad.
2 of them are tri-arms.
Yeah,
So that's essentially 10 normal
you
arms.
can think of it as like 10 normal arms. For Grimmies, for comparison's sake, same cost, but 11 arms. But just less bonders.
It's 1 whole arm. It trades
And then
an arm
12
for
arms.
2 bonders.
Essentially. And it is ever so slightly smaller.
I believe mine's 12 arms, right?
Alright, so the other part of the notes reads the solution part. So 1. Last output should meet penultimate output at 180 degrees. So swing it once and the penultimate one twice the other way. Which is, yeah, fair. Yeah. Having air in the center makes creating Vitae kinda slow, meaning I need to pre-build a bit. Most of the solution needs to be able to run at period 4 instead of 6, because with the pre-building it needs to speed up towards the end. 3, cost optimization mostly by Rebix.
So the 2 arms that grab inputs for Animismus are operating on a 12 cycle track loop, and they're full. No, they're 11 cycles, but they're nearly full. Yeah, that's just... Ah, man. I'm pleased that this exists, but a little salty that it was not at all what I was going for.
I really think the best part of this solve are the multi-arms, because the way they can just operate at period 4 and just get the whole thing sped up towards the end, as is noted in the notes, is just really clean.
Yeah, that like tri-arm motif is really what you want in CG, where it's doing 2 things and then passing it off to the next tri-arm using a bond, and then it does 2 things, and then it just keeps going like that.
It's just a really solid cost-saving motif. And the way it's kind of woven really nicely into the geometry. Also, the fact that Arm 3 just barely doesn't grab a Moors is really clutch and really tight. One cycle, if the Animismus activated 1 cycle earlier, this whole thing would fall apart because Arm 3 would grab a Moors.
Oh wait, this solution. People are noting that this solution is pivot free.
Not a single pivot.
Not a single pivot in sight.
Just arms enjoying the moment. Not pivot of the week. Not a
The
continuous.
non-pivot solve of the week. Pivot.
Yeah, the benefit of stick is that the Vitae from Animismus can be easily added the cycle before output. That makes batching it into 2 feasible, which evidently is worth the extra bonding cost.
It saves 1 arm that does what would act as a buffer for the extra inputs, I assume.
It does what pivots don't.
Time to see if we can cut more of this as a community, either from this solve or one of Grimmy's and mine.
Callie
Probably.
Erases.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, Callie Erases is already like making optimization notes. Like, maybe the right side you could cut a debonder or something.
I wonder which would be better, combining you and Grimmy solve or like optimizing this solve. Interesting. I want to see.
This solve's already had Rebix looking at it, but then again, Grimmy's and my solve have had each of us looking at it.
Who will win, Grimmy and Biggie or Rebix?
Oh shoot, yeah, if Grimmy manages to make 325, that's argument for Team 42 supremacy with Grimmy involved. Grimmy just has to join Team 42.
Oh boy, that would be a pretty overpowered team. Well, unless there's area involved, then good luck.
Well, I for one think this is a pretty dope, glorious return to Opus Magnum for Faindir, who is a really good player. It is easy to forget.
Yeah.
Because there's like a lot of times where he's just like, I'm not playing Opus Magnum, but he comes back, because he is a Cycles main, and he just like kicks ass, and then Rebix touches it up, and oh wait, we won. We beat, like, we beat the two resident Cycles gods.
We beat the Resident Cycles gods by 1 by 10 gold and 1 by 5 area.
5 hexes. That's insane. Okay. That is, in fact, yes, 7 T-Storm. That is a good time to have a look at the sum metric. I'll be sad if the AHK doesn't work after all I've been doing to it.
Remember to have updated the other AHK.
That looks like the wrong one.
Wait, did this one get updated too, if it's also a solution style one that writes the puzzle file?
So I might not have added supplements on it. Whoops.
What?
Not panic. Zorflex, does it have the cost and area and cycles as separate parts of it? Because I didn't write that in because I was lazy. You know, the supplement part, other tertiary.
Some never had secondaries or tertiary.
No, I meant
That's
like
fine. It's fine. It's
the supplement section. Is that filled in?
The more important thing is just that it's using the most up-to-date
Yeah.
thing.
I guess you can always just look at the bottom right corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if there's something that could be copied and pasted, that might work, but
Let me go find
I
it.
do not
Actually,
have access to my PC is
I probably have one in my old parsers. Let's see. Week 2 is
Okay, we have. All right, people. We have some.
Wow.
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 Found it.
Okay, so to kick things off,
If you
We
want
have
to
a-
reflect it, put this one moment
what's
in
happening?
the stuff. I am.
Something that shows the components in the top left.
Yeah. If you put this in the supplement,
Oh, it's just it just has the sum score.
yeah.
Oh, it's not a huge deal. You don't have to worry about that because it does pop up on the screen still.
Yeah, but like I just sent something that shows it. So if you want to load that in, you could.
Yeah, it's
Just
fine.
put that in
Oh,
the supplement
yeah.
function.
Wait, that was in the old one, but not the new one. All right.
Yeah, because we didn't have that for the new one. Kind of just deleted it.
Where do I copy paste that to, sorry?
The supplement function under tertiary.
Oh, I see. Alright, if it doesn't work, I'm not gonna bother trying to fix it. It didn't work.
All right.
It didn't.
I mustn't have copy-pasted it properly, but that's okay. I'm kind of not in the mood to delay any further.
That's fair.
Alright, so, the components will be towards the bottom of the screen, just above the Twitch chat area, so... Okay. Apologies though, I will read it out though, to make it a bit more clear. So starting us off is 7 T-Storm with what appears to be a very serious sum solve. Wait, my bad. Alright, having a look here. 4 things to note here. 1, nice trans reference. 2, I am trans femme, by the way. 3, the new Discord username thingy is here. 4, I don't really care about the metrics this weekly, but I will on the next weekly onwards. This is very fair. I should speed this up.
So wait, it's all air, but then it has to get burlowed because it's all salt. Love it.
There we go. Alright. That slow-mo feature was very useful for cycles and analysis, but I think for some we can just go back to the normal one. Because, you know, it gives us a better sense of the vibes when you're analyzing a sum solve.
Right. We're seeing it as the creator intended.
Exactly. This is an important consideration. Alright, so it is very much just stick of salt and then either burlow it to air or just make vitae or just keep the salt. And then it just pieces it together and that's perfectly valid.
This reads like one of those computer-generated solves.
Kind of, yeah, with the fact that it's like just sticking a bunch of layers, except the piston
Yeah.
goes way all over the place.
It's actually a good point.
Is ChatGPT trans? This question is being asked.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
Alright, we'll watch it make one more. Those were a thing earlier on in the game's life, like AIs that could solve machines, but that didn't really stick around. People were too busy
there's some
optimizing the game
discussion.
themselves.
Yeah, there's been some discussion of it, but I don't think anyone has put in some serious work to attempting it. I think there's also been some discussion of like maybe it's not a good idea to even do it because if it were successful, it would, you know, you wouldn't be able to tell like if someone used an AI or if they made it themselves.
Yeah,
I'm not-
actually, I do remember that discussion popping up. That is a kind of concerning thought, should it ever happen.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced that the algorithms would actually be that good.
Yeah, I don't think that's
I don't know. I think at some point I think I would like to run a competition for like automated solving or like I guess like solving with fewer rules where you can use lots of people or computer programs or that kind of thing. I don't know. A little bit off topic.
Still makes me happy that some of the TIS 100 records are held by a program. When I started trying to maintain that leaderboard, I was like, this Makesphere is really good at image patterns. And it did not, like, I had to go like a few years and then I read AI called Makesphere solves TIS 100, and it's like, that's the name of the program, not a user.
I see.
Do you know what it was? It like specifically tuned for that type of puzzle, or
Yeah, it was for TIS image puzzles specifically. It's the only thing it knows how to do.
yeah?
Alright, I think we will move on with that. That is Cuckoo 52 cycle solved, popped up.
Yeah, you have to scroll a bit to find the next sum solve.
I do, don't I? Alright, so we're gonna skip ahead to 22nd place. And this one comes to us from Yosh. And there are some bonders here. There's 8 of them. Josh counted. There you go.
Oh yes, halves, but with the air in the middle. Cool. That makes sense because this is there are basically two ways you could break the output into halves using Vitae air input. You could either have it split in half in this orientation, like a diagonal top right to bottom left, or you could have it split in half with a line that kind of cuts the two airs between and then goes horizontal, like this one does.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But yeah, I think there's some that may have been missed. New solution 1, copy.
Nah, we had that one earlier.
No, that's a cycle solve.
Yeah, that's a cycle.
No, there's a different new solution 1, copy. That's optimized
Oh,
for
okay,
solve.
that's a different one. I
Alright.
see.
Oh, you are right. Okay. We'll go back to that. I did want to make a point though. Did people do their sum record homework for this puzzle, or do they just eyeball it, or have a crack? Because when I was looking,
When you say homework, you're thinking of a specific puzzle to look at, aren't you?
I am, yes. The one that I was thinking of, which I'm not sure how many people did, but seeing the way, because alright, so I'll just let people know now. This 2 atom input will be used a lot, which is kind of interesting because putting them together in this particular shape is something the vaporous solvent sum record does. Except instead of putting 3 of these shapes onto a core, you just kind of whack 2 of them together and make a couple of extra bonds. There you go. Madmaster called that vaporous solvent. Good call. Good shout out. Because there are a lot of ways to get this this kind of shape, this bent 4 atom shape together, and kind of you do have to play around with it a lot to get a good sense of to get that good sum energy going, you know.
But those good some vibes.
Those vibes.
Good some feng shui going.
Alright, we'll go back up to 23rd, seeing as I do believe I kind of said. So, this does look...
I guess it's different.
It is different, actually.
Somewhat. It is different, yeah. This does look like a sum solve.
It has period 10 instead of period 8, and it has...
Yeah.
Did Phoenix use this input in their cycle solve, or was this a different input? I think they were using the banana one.
Yeah, it looks different.
Funny, so the notes read, funny region I thought of because I couldn't sleep and I was thinking about this game. You can tell how much I optimized this solve for sum by the name, which is very similar to the cycle's name.
The copies just go off
I
screen.
outright thought it was the cycle solve because it was so similar in name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kazian jokes, finally, the correct region.
True.
Also, yeah, Cuckoo 52 sum solve got missed because the cycles was better sum. The AHK weren't actually I don't know if there's a way for me to manually click on it, but...
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
Which one is it? It's just
Yeah,
Cuckoo 52 and it says sum.
Yeah. So here is Cuckoo 52 sum solve.
Or at
I
least.
see things that I should not probably see in a sum solve.
So there's a couple more bonders than Yosh's solve, which I think is the first point of a slight inaccuracy. There's also this
Let it keep running.
There's also this funny shaped waist, which I do think might be a little area inefficient.
It goes all the way around. That's amazing.
It uses so much feedback loop to construct this shape, and then that arm finally gives it. That's funny.
Where does this go?
It doesn't.
Oh no, that's just an infinite.
That is such a weird looking infinite.
Definitely an infinite of all time.
Also, if I had to be honest, does a little too much swinging around. It just clips a few too many hexes for my liking. But I don't want to be too harsh on it, since this is a very sincere attempt at a sum solve. Look at
Very, very sincere. This should be taken very seriously. New sparse polymer puzzle just dropped. Oh boy. Can this
This is
even
the
be done in
refined
that?
bronze of polymer solves.
Future tourney hosts, take some notes here.
That reminds me of what's the puzzle Luna made?
Superconductive copper.
No, not that one. The other one.
There's another one?
Leaded sugar.
I don't remember another one.
That was a
I
sparse
remember one that
polymer.
I had like a really tall polymer that I made a cycle solve for. I remember it might have been in the puzzle.
Yeah, I think it was leaded sugar.
Can this be a weekly? Make the waste a puzzle. New sparse polymer puzzle.
Disgusting.
dropped. Good lord, if we used this for a weekly, we get like 3
It's the
submitters.
staircase polymer too.
It is a staircase polymer. That could be a mod actually, implementing staircase polymers.
No, we
The
would get a
staircase
lot of
polymers already work.
Well,
people would just download the solution and then submit it.
Yeah, just submit that as the puzzle.
It already has it solved, dude. It's right here.
And
Yeah, I
I've
found my
solved
little
worse
sugar,
polymer
like-
puzzles. You people are treating this thing like it's normal.
Don't staircase polymers already work? Just
Oh, only
very
if you
changed.
only if you specifically validate them. Okay.
you have to
can
match
follow
it
the
exactly.
rules of other polymers, but it gets a little bit weird because you can't have any atoms that are.
You can't have any atoms above and below it, so it has to exactly match it.
Yeah, the vertical one, and also you can stick things on the side, which is weird. But yeah.
I put the leaded sugar cycle solve into the weekly chat.
What?
Oh, just because leaded sugar was called out, I put the cycle solve I made for it into the weekly
Yeah.
Discord.
It is leaded sugar. That's a little puzzle.
Do not remember that puzzle at all.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Alright, let's move on.
February 2021. That's only like a year ago, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, a year ago, sure.
Okay, so, we do actually have some serious sums to go through. Alright, in 21st place at 388 sum, we have, Team 5000 Jams.
Oh, this is their cycle solve.
Tissues.
This is the exact same solve.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it is. Well, it
And
looks
they can
like
save a lot of
solve
sum
too.
on it by making that hex arm into a basic arm and adding a reset instruction in place of the drop.
I was fooled by the regent. Alright, in 20th place, at 347, we have, I believe, Gecko. And that is...
There's another sum solved by the same team that ties the sum of the cycle solve.
Oh, okay.
We're
When-
hitting a lot of
When
edge
metrics
cases
converge.
That's an incredible edge case.
here.
Alright, well, this kind of spoiled Gecko's spot, sorry. Right, so there are no secondaries for some, so any ties will be genuine ties.
But it's then. I didn't realize that I could get away with wasting instructions.
Yeah, so interestingly, the cycle solve and the sum solve that Team 5000 Gems submitted have the exact same score, but they are functionally different.
What a coincidence. I don't think they intended that.
I wonder if, like, optimizing their cycle solve, they didn't check what the sum was, and it ended up being the same.
Yeah, probably.
So it still uses the 2-atom reagent though. So let's see, this has a completely different way of kind of piecing it together. So So I guess the reason you might see a lot, because with some, I guess you want to avoid animismus, right? So I think a lot of these souls will attempt to avoid animismus, and using the 2-atom region gives you a convenient way to avoid that, because you need 4 of the region anyway, and it's a smaller, more convenient region to grab. So immediately you get a pretty powerful argument for using the 2-atom region, which is just air and vitae, and just calcify the air. All my homies hate animismus. Too right. Actually,
Animismus sucks.
Definitely
Animismus
had a
is an awful
streak
glyph.
it sucks for some, specifically. Though, with puzzles with forced animismus can be pretty interesting for some. But this puzzle does not force animismus because you can pick the region.
Unless you're doing cycles.
Unless you're doing cycles, then you have no way around it. Yeah, good point. Alright. We will actually move on to 20th place. So we'll go back to Geckos, which is a lot more compact. Alright, I won't scroll that far.
This looks like it's going to be suffering on the cycle count instead of the cost.
It's an interesting point. Different point on the Pareto frontier.
I'm going to go ahead and say this isn't actually on the Pareto frontier, but it is a different Pareto versus the other.
Forced anime in cost is great. Free 4 tracks. Yeah, you get free 4 tracks, but it's just it makes it too easy.
That's when trackless cost comes in.
Yeah. Well, it's still too easy because it forces 2 arms.
Yeah, but the position of those 2 arms is interesting now, I suppose.
That is a good point. Yeah. It's not without
I mean, they
charm.
still have to be on the diagonals, but like arranging everything around it, though.
If you want them to the arms to directly interact with each other, you got to do like wanding shit.
3 arms.
Wanding
right,
and then
because I
cost
can't
forces the
communicate.
placements of your bonders and debonders, and that's bad too.
Or unless you have extra inputs and you don't need vitae and Morse to communicate, then you can use 2 arms.
Okay, so
let's talk about how you get all these bonds formed without a ton of glyphs. This one has a couple of track movements and a couple of pivots. I can't tell what arm 3 is doing when it grabs the air on the bottom.
So it just grabs vitae and ungrabs it. Oh.
Oh, okay. That's not any better.
So the answer is it doesn't do anything. It just kind of grabs and then ungrabs. It's like, oh wait, wrong with vitae, Adam. Need the other one. There we go. And we got the pivot. Yeah, hello Jasper he says the thing I was thinking. 2 arms and a bonus bonder with trackless cost animismus. So this is pretty. So a lot of effort is being made to kind of keep the bond count low, but a lot of cycles are eaten up trying to keep that, and also it's trying to take great care to avoid wrong bonds, which is another thing you got to watch out for. You don't want the vitaes to be bonding with each other or the salt. Okay, so we move a little deeper into our top 20. We take a jump from the 23, a 24-point jump, 323. Welcome back to the Weeklies, not great. Who is not actually part of Team Still Not a Jasper.
Despite the not in the name.
Now we got this Wasteful Sum. I was stuck on Wasteful Sum for quite a while.
So this is yeah, so I guess this is our first top 20 entrant to use a 3-atom region, which necessitates a lot of waste. Unless you can get a disposal glyph in there. But this one's very clearly just...
It's fast though.
This one's very clearly just get that, get the 2 sticks bonded next to each other, and then just pull Vitae from the region and just dump the waste somewhere where I don't have to worry about it, and then output.
Hello.
Hey!
Yeah, this was very much a last-minute solve. I was trying to make a working cycle solve for about half the week and just couldn't figure out a way to make it work well, and so I just converted it into a sum solve today.
That's fair.
Nice. Well, it's got 19th place.
Yeah, it's definitely like balanced towards cycles more than cost. You can tell. 75 versus 170.
Yeah, definitely going to be towards the faster end of some, I think, today. Which is kind of because, yeah, it was originally designed with cycles in mind, which is where this this stick kind of rotation motif kind of, it is very useful for cycles, but yeah. I do like the reuse of this top bonder though. I think that's kind of nicely handled.
Yeah, this is a good
Yeah,
job
I
on
like that.
like pivoting around the air can give you lots of bonds, which is good.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that dropped my sum solve down like 40 or 50 points total from my first submission about 2 hours before the deadline to when I finished submitting, which was about half an hour before the deadline.
Nice.
I do wonder whether it actually would have, if there's a way to incorporate the disposal glyph to save area, I guess, but...
So my first solve did have the disposal glyph, but you need a whole extra arm to operate it effectively.
Okay.
I couldn't find a way to reuse one of my existing arms, and that ended up actually costing more sum total.
Yeah, okay. Because it doesn't need that much area. Like, if I go to...
Yeah, I mean, you see it adding waste quickly, but it's making outputs quickly.
Yeah, like, that's it. That's all the waste that gets used. That is not that much waste in the grand scheme of things when you're talking about, like, 10G saves, and the disposal glyph also eats up a bit of area.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, when I was doing wasteful sum, I tried to convert one of them into a disposal sum, and I added 40 cost, and I saved 8 area. It was not worth it at all.
Alright. I think with that, we can move on. So we take a 1 point drop to 18th place.
1 point only.
Username Void comes in. Man, maybe I will zoom back out.
This has the same assembly style as... who was it? Was it Yosh?
Yes.
I feel like it's weird because we viewed them out of order, but yeah, build the one that you can just stick on top of the other, air next to air. It requires doing the debonds at the end, but it works.
And I guess the ones that we've seen so far that use this, the 4 atom halves idea, is that there are a couple of wrong bonds being made, which is kind of like a hurdle that you kind of have to deal with when you're making the 4 atom thing.
I mean, wrong bonds are inevitable because the salt in the output is bonded to air, and the salt in your input is bonded to Vitae.
Yeah.
So you're not adding new wrong bonds, you just need to handle the bonds that are already wrong. But yeah, this does a good job of reusing the calcifier and reusing the debonder, both of which need to be done 2 times, but both of which are done on the same place.
Yeah. I guess if I were to put my perfectionist hat on, I am noticing there are 4 bonders and a lot of swinging around that this does. So I guess that's something to try to minimize, I guess, when we're looking at the next few solves. See how they get around that problem. Okay. So, dropping down, we do take a dip below 300. We have Harry Z. I believe this is the first time Harry Z has submitted to a Weeklies or tournament setting, so welcome.
Yeah.
It's good to have you.
Welcome to the Weeklies.
Welcome to Glyph Hell.
A little note by Harry Z with a small thank you to RPO for this solve. RPO's just powerful. He's just too good at the game.
I know Harry was around in the Discord for a while, but yeah, first competitive debut. Welcome.
I really like. I actually like that we're seeing a multi-arm. I do like that. It's good sum.
It's the same as Yosh had. The exact same usage too.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think it just kind of feels more compactly placed here.
Oh, absolutely.
Sounds
Yeah,
not
there's not a
good.
huge glyph hell, even if this is called glyph hell. I think Harry was the one who mentioned in chat when they saw Yosh was like, oh, and I thought mine was glyph hell.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah, the way the bonds work on this puzzle, it's hard to minimize the number of bonders and debonders too much.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a big focus on how many bonders, debonders are used, and how quickly the bonds, debonds are made.
How many arms to deal with those as well?
And yeah, that's always you're always looking at the
Yeah, because you can usually cut bonders by adding an arm to move it over an existing bonder, but that's more expensive.
It
Or
could
it
be
could spend
faster. Though.
cycles and tracks just finagling it.
Yeah, it could be faster though, and that's also another. Yeah, so kind of Yeah, it's a pretty complex considerations for this puzzle. I don't know.
Welcome to some.
Welcome to some. I was really heartened by how much excitement there was for this puzzle for the sum metric in particular.
I mean, like, everybody loved like, both of the metrics got quite a bit of love, honestly.
That is fair, yeah.
People like this puzzle.
I did feel a little bad because as a sum main, I just did not have the time to really like try to make something cool on my own this week. I will.
Yeah, but we got a Haxton solve.
We did get a Haxton solve, but
A 50-minute Haxton solve.
yeah, I know because I've been the last couple of weeks I've been rather busy with shit, but the next like month I won't be, so I'm looking forward to like keeping a closer eye on everything and submitting a few more of my own like solves and stuff and just playing around.
I want to see your week 4 play tests.
Yeah. I'll make sure to submit those. Alright. We'll move on though. In 16th place, we dropped 7 points to Team Mad Monkey, which I believe is a conglomeration of Mad Master and Madder Monkey. I like the team name. Epic.
With the
Calvin and
alternate team
Hobbes.
name, Matter Master.
So the notes read Epic Calvin and Hobbes X Opus Magnum crossover event.
So it makes sense that this one showed up in the cycles because it is 8R. But we did not like look at it, we just skipped over it. It was just amusing.
Yeah.
8R was like some approach.
Just
Yeah,
so fast.
Yeah, I did have to make a kind of point of missing this one because it had some in the title, so...
They named it some. We're treating it as some, even if it might suck at some. Not that this one does, but...
Okay, so, my favorite part of this is the triple pivot here, where it gets 3 bonds and a D-bond. That is definitely the highlight of this solve for me. Also, the first pivot is a really clutch miss here. I don't know. This is one of the better pivots this week.
I think we'll be seeing that pivot on air with stacked bonder and debonder a lot. I'm not gonna I don't have the omniscience to say that that's definitely the case, but I use it.
Okay. Good to note. Alright, if this is a thing that comes up often, then it couldn't really be a pivot of the week. But well, that is a valid point.
Me and Mad Monkey contributed about equally to this solve. I contributed about 20 minutes of effort more than him. Fair.
How much effort was put into this total?
Okay, one thing I do quite like is the reuse of the calcifier as well. So it's kind of, it doesn't seem like it's too convenient to use the calcifier, but this solve makes it work. I like this
I feel
solve.
like that
Yeah.
motion might be something we see more of too.
Which one?
Getting it back onto the calcifier. Like that sort of swing pivot move back onto the calcifier like that.
Yeah, right. Because this is kind of a nice way to... I don't know, it's a good spot for the calcifier because you can do like a nice swing, clears the region out of the way for the next region to pop up, while potentially getting a calcification on that other corner. So it is a good sum idea. This is a good sum tech emerging.
Harry Z points out he shaved off 7 cycles by realizing he was being done with instruction ordering, or 6, and this beat Harry's by 6 some. So interesting. Point of order. Oh, I see. Oh, Mad Master contributed a total of 20 minutes.
Contributed about equally, meaning they both didn't try, but Mad Master made it.
I see. That's what you mean.
Okay, moving on though. We take a 3-point drop. We have a look at Bambi. The solution simply titled S.
Very straightforward.
Very
Another
straightforward
Hex Armifier. Oh, that's the Hex Arm Deliverant. That's not very area efficient, but it is movement efficient.
It is a good reuse of the multi-arm, but again, yeah, it does chew through area just a bit. Also, it is 6p to save cycles. Always good to see. Okay,
I
so
feel like
here...
you're losing a lot on area somehow. And I guess on the multi-bonder as well.
This is kind of interesting. There isn't much glyph reusage here, I guess.
They're kind of all just used once.
Yeah, it just...
That's the way you get down to 2 arms, is you make a lot of extra glyphs.
Yeah,
That's
so
fair.
it is the trade-off. Do you try and get more out of your glyphs by maybe adding an extra arm to manipulate the atoms into place properly, or do you just go with the extra glyphs? This is very firmly in the latter camp.
A Tetris friend has just arrived in chat. Anyone who knows how to pronounce her name, laugh at people who don't.
AoE.
Aoife.
Was I even close?
No. That's how people look at it. I would say that 6 is a lot of glyphs.
One of them's a multi-bonder too, so yeah, not a cheap glyph.
It's essentially 3 glyphs.
Yeah, so you can really think of it as like 7 or 8 glyphs.
Aoife. Was that it?
English is wacky, though.
That is it.
Unless that's not English.
That's not any English, I know. I think it's just a name, unless there's a meaning behind it.
It's, Irish naming, which does not pronounce things the way
Actually,
things
Yeah,
are.
so it's not English.
Yeah,
It's not English being
Yeah,
whack,
Irish,
it's just a different language.
yeah, Irish doesn't count as English, Best. You're right.
Okay, the Scottish might.
I kid. I don't actually have anything against either Irish or Scottish. Actually, the Scottish accent
Oh.
is my favorite accent.
Irish is not English, straight up.
Well, the Irish language isn't, but usually when
Yeah.
you say Irish, you mean like Irish people, or Irish accents, or Irish culture. Actually, the language doesn't actually come up very often, even though it is its own language. Anyway, I think it's enough on that note. We will move on. In 14th place, we're beating this by 2 points. We have Please, 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 LOL. Whoops. I think that's the right one. Yeah, it's the right one.
That was right track.
Fair amount of
This one's using 15 cycle loop. Okay, that's fast. Not actually that fast. I just remember having a lot of mine being like a little slower than this.
So I guess this, again, invests more into gold to try and keep the cycle count down. Because the geometry of keeping the cycle count down is annoying unless you throw glyphs and or track and or arms at the problem. So it's kind of the same thing here. I do like the little journey that the arm takes to get everything in the right place though.
One of the good things about having the calcifier in the original bonding stations and the halves is that you can reuse it for free. But the debonders can't be because it's going to break the two atoms apart too early. So you need to have the debonders in the second station here.
Yeah, you kind of have to be careful with the debonders here and where you move the atom around, and that kind of restricts the movement options you get.
That is solved by the triple pivot, but not in this solve.
I guess I guess the cool thing about how this puzzle turned out is because it ends up being very there's a really big focus on movement, which there's always a big focus on movement on some here, but here it's rather pronounced because it is otherwise like you can simplify the process quite a bit by just using like certain regions and not using animismus. So a lot of it's just a classic bonding, debonding experience, but not a straightforward one, even though you get your choice of region. Okay, we'll move on with that. Next we have our playtest solve. Coming in at 275. So this one is brought to us by Haxton. This is a pretty simple idea, actually. It was just get that first pivot on to kind of have the 4-atom shape in a different spot. Get the D-bond out of the way first, so you only have to worry about one D-bond. Do a triple pivot. It's not a true triple pivot, but there are 3 pivots involved. It's basically just to reuse that second bonder and the 1D bonder and the 1 calcifier. It's again just a lot of reusing glyphs with certain pivots. It is a little on the slow end, but that's just because it's rather cheap and not that big either.
It's cool that the hex arm does its pivot on the first input when it can get away with it, so it doesn't like multi-graph things, because that allows it to build the nicer half. Like, this is not building the half that has the 3 all in a row, which is what some of the previous ones were using the hex arm to do. This one's building, to me, the more convenient half, but it's using the hex arm to do it.
I do think it's slightly unlucky that Arm 2, you just kind of, it would be really nice if Arm 2 took a couple less cycles to do its thing, because you can see Arm 1 has a fair amount of blank space on its instruction tray. So I guess that would be the point of optimization I would have been looking at if I were here, if I made this solve, which I didn't.
Yeah, and I guess one thing you can see if you're trying to save all that space, Arm 2 has 3 track. What if you put a second arm and got rid of the track? Would it even help you out with only 5 gold of expense?
I see we have new people in the Twitch chat. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you all here.
Yeah, I posted my cycle solve in a Tetris server, and the Tetris folks showed up.
Glad to have you here, Tetris people.
Did you summon all her friends here?
I came second in Tetris 99 once. That's as good as I got.
I remember playing Tetris 99, but it's like modern style, and that's just so different from how my brain thinks.
I do watch classic Tetris, actually. That's the one I enjoy watching the most. I know, I have a lot of respect for it. Okay, I did actually, I'll cut that conversation a bit short, because I do want to move on. Though I would want to talk more about Tetris. It is actually quite cool. In 13th place, dropping down 6 points to 269, we have Cali Erasis.
Really?
269 expensive, so kind of being
Oh
flagged.
yeah, that's a lot of glyphs. And a lot of arms.
That's pretty glyph hell as well. As in 6 glyphs here, and it does look like, and yeah, 4 arms and 6 glyphs.
It's fast. It is fast. It's on a 9 loop.
7 glyphs. My bad. The calcifier also counts as a glyph, as much as I forget. Also, scrolling down my reagent tray, I'm like, oh good god. What the hell is the Tri-Blade one doing there?
Water.
And the medicine gold, earth gold just sitting there.
It really has an OO look to it.
Waiting for its turn. It actually
Oh no, it
does.
does.
Oh no.
It looks like a beak.
This is Cali Erasis' first and only thumb solve.
Well, good for Telly.
It's
It's like good sum. It's 13th place. It's certainly not a scrub. I just like. It's interesting because it takes a very different approach. Just how much arms and how much glyphs it has.
269 sounds like a decent number.
So Communist Mountain mentions the idea of mentioning necessary glyphs and unnecessary glyphs. Is it possible to solve this without a debonder at all? Like with your choice of regent?
So make everything solid.
No, because you would need an animismus instead.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, then you'd have to use animismus if you don't. Atomic salt input doesn't need debonder. Yeah, but then you need an animismus.
今晚到垃圾，中午你回到家。
Well, yeah, never said it was good to skip debonder. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Well, I guess that does still mean, like, the only way to not use a debonder means using animismus. So that would still count as a necessary glyph in a sense, because it's either debonder or animismus.
Yeah, and then there's a choice of whether you're debonding atoms that are in the product together or whether you're debonding wastes. Both of which are possible uses of a debonder.
That's fair. Yeah. Oh, you... Sorry, I'm just reading Twitch chat a bit. Alright, we'll move on though. We will move down straight from 13th to 11th because we have a tie for 11th. Because there weren't any secondaries this week. So the first one is Spiritual Shampoo, who claims free will does not exist.
Oh, just because this is the clear choice of it. But, like,
That
you've
is
given us a choice, but you haven't given us a choice.
That's the claim.
I mean, I was certainly lower than this with 3 atoms.
That implies free will exists, though, Biggie.
Was it?
Well, not like... I'm not trying to make a sweeping philosophical statement, just that the regent choice actually mattered when it comes to a top 10 solve.
It's cool that the two arms share a track, although they don't need to, because that track does not have any usage of its trapezoid.
So I guess I remember in Discord, Spiritual Shampoo kind of mentioned that his sum solve would like hurt a some main's eyes, and I mean it kind of hurts my eyes to see a more than one length multi-arm being used, but that's just me. Other some mains don't mind those. I do, so I guess you got me, but other some mains might look at that and go, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. You have to really justify a large multi-arm because it just chews through area. But there are uses for it. I will concede that.
At least it never rotates while on the right mouse track.
That's fair. Yeah, it does swing it does swing the region around a slightly unfortunate amount, I guess. Which is, I know, a bit nitpicky of me, but I mean, yeah, got to look at how the best solves did it. That would probably be something they would look at. Awkward, but not cursed. It's actually same sum with single arm. Oh, okay, interesting.
Saves tossed an area but loses the cycles because it has to extend the take loop.
SMH making track less understandable by unnecessarily combining them. I like it. I like combining track segments whenever I can. I mean, if it was up to, I mean, for next sum, I still like the idea of just having like instruction secondary.
Or parts secondary.
Or parts secondary. We're taking secondaries to strange new places.
Part secondary would incentivize combining tracks unnecessarily.
The issue with instruction secondary is that it can mean your solves don't loop because there's some instructions at the end that you only put there to make it loop. In some cases.
By the way, did anyone do intentionally bad regions for cycles or some? I didn't see the first parts.
7T Storm used 3 air in a line and then calcified all of them and then had to burlow them back to air leader.
I'd say that counts. Yeah.
But like, most of them were submitted for showcase.
But yeah, the cursed one, the properly cursed ones will be in the showcase. Okay. We'll move on to the other 11th place solve. It is by Team Fiesta Land. Hex arms are over something. Are they overrated or overpowered? And I think Fiesta Land's trying to make the claim that it was somewhere in between this week. I'll have a look. This one actually did come with
something.
This one actually did come with notes, so I'll have a look. We first attacked this metric with a wasteful 3-atom stick input at 276. Very balanced numbers at 115G, 116C, 45 area, with only a single bonder and debonder. The sum vi was very good, except for the 40G spent on disposal arms. We were quite surprised to see the first generation of this expensive numbers unbalanced wasteless approach doing about the same at 277. It requires a mess of bonders and a calcifier which had a much worse vibe to our eyes, but the hex arm pulls inputs absurdly quickly for the cost, and that makes all the difference. We ultimately found a way to drop one of the debonders, and that put this strategy over the top.
You're telling me that they found using the 2-atom input to be the uglier decision over using the 3-atom? Every time I heard them talk about, oh, we've succumbed to ugliness, I thought that meant that they needed to start making waste.
They did use a disposal though.
Yeah, which is interesting as well. If they only had 115 cycles and they had a disposal.
That is interesting, yeah. You'd think with a 3-atom reagent, because I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about not great solve, because that one like kind of made it look easy to go fast. If you're using a 3-atom reagent, but maybe that's a misread on my part.
I'm pretty sure I'll have some stuff to say in the weekly chat. I'm not going to try to take over stream with anything to do with my not best solves, but the 3-atom reagent had a good thing going.
That's fair. We can, I mean, when your solve comes up, definitely you'll have the freedom to talk about the design process and potential iterations. All right. With that, we'll see. Were hex arms overrated or overpowered? That's the question. This is the question you have to ask every week when you're doing some. Sorry. In 10th place, a name people might not have been expecting just yet, but Goodbye Galaxy.
Oh boy.
And we're seeing a 3-atom reagent.
A V reagent.
With the solution title, a slightly sheepish sounding, I guess this region is better.
It used to be a stick one, I think.
Yeah, when Kazian mentioned that this was the correct reagent, I don't know whether they were being serious, but Goodbye Galaxy swore by it enough to make it their solution.
I think that's a statement. There is unexplored optimization ideas here with 3-atom.
Previous reagent was a 2VKV. Interesting.
So here's here's one, because the thing with 3-atom reagent is that you need to dispose, at one point you will need to dispose both air and water. I think for any like moderately convenient idea, you do just kind of have to use 2 regions to, directly into the product, and the third one just has to, the other 2 have to just cut off the vitae and from the air and the salt. So that's more disposals. That's a fair amount of disposing. So you have to pay attention to how much cost you're dedicating to disposal, or whether you do a waste chain or something like that. So here, I think the way that's justified in this solve is ARM 2, getting its second use of actually getting vitae debonded as well as salt on the same hex, so it can serve as a multi-purpose arm, whereas ARM 1 is responsible for all the debonding and it chucks out the air atoms. So I think disposal is cleverly incorporated here. I think it suggests maybe we haven't seen the last of the disposal glyph or the 3-atom region. Also kind of worth noting that the 3-atom region chosen here is the V region, because you kind of get, I don't know, it's just kind of easy to put it all together.
It's compact.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes it nice and compact, and you just need like a couple of translations and pivots to get some of those spare bonds happening. So there you go. I like this solve. But it is 10th place.
Fun.
There are 9 better than it, so let's have a look. Dropping by 2 points at 257, we have Witch Push, which has an extremely balanced cycle cost count of 110, 110.
This is using min glyphs.
This is min glyphs. I know, Grimmy made an interesting point that theoretical minimum glyph usage is 30G, which is very true. No matter how you slice it, it always comes out to at least 30G. So maybe, I think that's a good way to analyze the glyph usage here. Is it over 30G, and by how much? Here it is not over 30G at all. It is exactly 30G. And that bonder is getting a real workout. So I guess this is some of the geometry considerations I was alluding to earlier. I think who had that first low cost solve? Was it Gecko? I think it was Gecko's was the first low cost solve, and I was kind of alluding to try and finagling the geometry to get like low glyph usage happening at a fairly good cost here, a fairly good cycle count. And here it's pretty good. It's just 3 arms, 4 hexes of track. And 110G is a respectable cycle count considering that comes with a low cost. And it's also pretty compact anyway. So I think this is a good crack at that idea. Yeah, as Panic mentioned, the song competition was very strong. So I'm just reading back on chat. There's a couple of claims about the hex arms. Kazian reckons it's a sometimes food. Harry Z will argue it's overpowered. I'm just gonna wait before I judge. Having not actually seen the solves, I'm very interested to see how the top solves manage it. So let's have a look.
I'm curious if you want to commit to a number you think that good sum is.
Me?
Yeah, having not seen it yet.
I know the numbers. I know the winning
okay,
score.
yeah, you know the numbers. Never mind.
That's like the one thing I know. It would have been interesting if before I actually opened this up what I would have thought would be a winning score. But in 8th place, we drop another 2 points to 255. We have Team Sai Jondras, that is very not balanced. 130.68 is the cost cycle breakdown.
It does have 4 arms, but it doesn't have that many glyphs. It's just 1 bonder beyond min.
Yeah, it's just 1 extra bonder, and it's quite spaced out, but it is very fast. And with 130, that's kind of expensive, but when your cycle count is below 70, that's not that expensive. It really is just, it is a high area count, really. A lot of, I see a fair amount of pivoting happening here. And I guess, Biggie, you were right earlier when you called out that we'd be seeing the same types of pivots here for some, because it really is just the air atoms that you want to pivot, because of all those bonds you have to get onto the air atoms.
I think this is the first solve to have cost plus cycles under 200.
Just barely, but yeah, it does. As you can see, it's not too far away from what would have been full throughput for the 2-atom Regent. Because it grabs all 4 of them very quickly and just waits like 2 cycles. So that's what, 10R?
Yeah, it's got its repeats 10 apart.
Interesting, the first one kind of waits an extra cycle here. So here it just kind of has to wait to get for that next one to swing across and then it gets its D-bonds. But for the second one...
That's why it is 6p.
Yeah, sorry. And for the and you kind of have to wait till the end here and it'll just not wait anymore. So that's a good way to save on cycles when you're sum optimizing, I guess. Just have shit wait and program it out. And the tape loop looks a lot scarier, but you're really just copy pasting the same thing 6 times for the most part.
Parade rocket fuel sum is an example of 1P not looping. Yeah, that's fair. Parade rocket fuel sum is surprisingly weird considering it's like a chapter 2 puzzle. It's just such an annoying ass shape. Alright, I think with that we can move on. We're in 7th place, we take a drop down to exactly 250 with Spect 98. And this one has a gold cycle count. It's interesting. It's slightly more expensive and slightly slower than the last one, but it's purely area that it catches it up on.
Yeah, it's 12R, which is not slow by any means. It's still a pretty fast solve, but it is small.
Small boy. And on
At
this
least
one,
two of the arms are taking full advantage of 12R.
yeah, this one's quite simple actually. It's just a nicely, I don't know, the instruction tape just kind of very nicely works out to 12R, and it's quite small and not that expensive. Here we can see like there's more of a focus on using arms than glyphs. There is only 40G of glyph being used. So this looks very, very similar to some of the stuff you'll see in Vaporous Solvent Sum. This initial bonding debonding station to the left here. And it's a matter of just getting the two halves strapped together, which is just Arm 4's job. So Spec 98 writes in the notes, I'm pretty convinced that this 2-atom input is optimal for some, but I didn't really optimize my solve for it. I'm just here to see pretty sum solves. Smiley face. That's quite fair, actually. Because as I said, this is an idea that looked like Spec 98 probably came up with this pretty quickly. Just because, yeah, I don't see any, like, really, like, clutch swings or complicated pivoting ideas. It's just really nicely well executed. Spec 98 is just a good player.
I love how the Vitae ignore the potential of a BS collision by being in a different position, but like they swing right past each other, kind of kissing in the two different spins.
Alright, with that, we shall move on. We go down, we drop 13 points. That's probably our last properly big drop of the day. To Ebenov. That is a very balanced score. 110, 92, 35 are the three metric scores. So,
I like this.
different idea. Haven't seen this one before. So, first make the 4-atom half, get it ready, and then just add the next regent straight onto it. Prepare for the 4th one to come in. Have it, making sure you're gripping the air atom as you have the 4th one bond on, because you're going to be doing a lot of pivoting. And everything is very nicely placed. This is that idea, the pivot idea that I think Biggie was expecting to be seeing a lot.
Yeah, that pivot allows it to reuse its calcifier and debonder because you've done 3 pivots to go from one half to the other.
It's very strategically placed glyphs and Arm 3 itself being very strategically placed. And it's just kind of a nice little shuffle because once you get this 3rd one attached, Arm 2 just kind of does it back and forth to make sure Arm 3 gets that swing in. Does all its pivoting, and Arm 2 just kind of grabs it and plops it over and it outputs on that cycle. This is a really cool idea.
Yeah, seeing this size of a product waving and spinning around is actually really beautiful.
This is this is very good Sun vibes. Very good.
Based on Grimmy's spoiler, I'm pretty sure they're coming up soon because they said that their cost and their sum end in the same 2 digits. That sounds like a 235.
That's exactly what that sounds like. Next up.
Grimmy.
Okay, once again, the third regent is being attached directly on. It's not quite ready yet, but a lot of the bonds are being made, and the fourth one comes on, and it's executed differently here. So just 40G of bond are being used, a bit, actually the same amount of track as Ebenov's. There are notes here. Grimmy writes, look at that perfect work sharing. Only 5 blanks in total across 3 arms at period 13. Technically, it's period 80, but it's only 6p to save a single cycle. You can see, there it was, we just missed it. Here, it just kind of waits for the next one to get out of the way, and at the end, it just does not wait for that. It can just, like, reset slower to save a cycle. There are indeed some wizards. Love me a good some wizard. No, these are, I think we're already kind of into some wizard territory. I think the drop down to Ebenov was like the real mark down to like, these are going to be the really good ones. So I think we're already in there.
Who's left? We got Rebix with Fyendir. We've got still not a Jasper. Is it all teams?
Yes.
There's also Arpioso.
Yeah, 4 teams left. Puzzle, 42, Not a Brick, Jasper, and Phoebix.
So this is actually the best individual placement for some this week. I reckon sum's a pretty good metric to have a team, because then everyone can just be staring at a GIF, and it's just kind of accessible. You can just suggest stuff really quickly and just kind of like think about your method and attitude, and that's kind of a good thing to like verbalize out loud with someone. Just be like, how am I doing? Am I missing something obvious? Because sometimes in some, you can like slave on a really good idea, but you missed something obvious that just makes it way better. I think about, I think it's Elemental Dual Setting from 2021, where I absolutely slaved over my solve, only to realize I was using the wrong regent the whole time.
Yeah. Also, I forgot that Team 42 is a team.
Yeah,
I guess it is, although I did build every solve.
Yeah. I will make sure to rectify that mistake in the future, though. If we miss like a genius 42, like clutch second place happening again, I will never forgive myself. All right, let's have a look at some of these other ones. So, in 4th place at 230 some, we have Fabix.
Let's go.
100G.
Immaculate
cycles, 36 area.
Oh, this does have min glyphs.
Min glyphs, only 3 arms, 2 hexes of track. That is cheap, and it is under 100 cycles.
Wow.
So let's have a look. So it is just going to be using the one bond the whole time. So we're going to. So it is this same bond pivot, bond D bond pivot idea.
kind of expressed differently. So here it is happening, the second half is being put into place and calcified, and it comes on very nicely. And it's just kind of like a handoff pivot happening here. And the swing perfectly gets that second calcification happening. That is a really cool feature of this one. Just very clutch calcifier placement.
This
I'd
is
say
15R, which is a little slower than Grimmy's, but it is saving quite a lot of cost.
Can arm 1 be from above? I do not think so. Because that changes the way it swings.
Yeah,
So
the
if I-
direction it swings.
Yeah, so if I like do that, it's completely different. I don't think there's a way to fix that by like changing the way the region is placed. I think it has to be placed in exactly this configuration.
Yeah, since it's accessed from both top and bottom currently.
Also, that's a no-access debonder. None of the arms can reach either side of it.
The
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice.
Right, you don't, because it's not a problem. Because it's so confidently placed. Like, yeah, that's exactly where we need it. It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, you could say that, Kylie racist. They all have teammates, but yeah, you could say that.
Especially the last one.
Not gonna lie, I'm really confident.
Alright, well, we do have a top 3 to get through. These are really cool solves, by the way, everyone. I think I've said that a few times already.
Third place.
In third place, at 225, we have Mr. Puzzle. And 105, practically the same cost, but 83 cycles.
Oh wow, 2 arms on a triangle track. Oh, but it's so slick. It's just so slick.
Okay, so RPO writes, I took Mr. Puzzle's min glyph solution and messed with it for a long time. Here's hoping it mattered. It mattered. I think it was at, so before RPO got his hands on it, it was sitting at like 6th place.
Oh.
So
Right.
so RPO's improvements actually got it to top 3.
Nice.
And you people continue to sleep on RPO. I don't believe it. Okay, so again, the same idea, this Bonder debonder idea. We don't even. I actually do have access to the debonder this time, or one of the hexes. No, wait, no, you don't. I lied. You don't. No access again. So it's actually an incredibly similar idea to the last one. The calcifier is not quite as conveniently placed here, but it doesn't seem to matter because this one's even faster. It's just kind of less of a problem. Yeah, so before on the last one, actually, subtle yet important point of difference. Here, the last one had to make 2 bonds, and it was like, it made a bond and then handed it off and made a second bond. Here, it's just like, bang, bang, swing. So...
Yeah, with the track loop, it's able to do that.
Yeah, so very clutch track loop here. You get some very creatively used track loops when you're talking about some, and I think this is a great example of one of them.
Yeah, often a track loop is not a good idea in some, like 2 arms that are doing the exact same thing and then just looping around, but I guess here they're not actually doing the same thing because it's 2 halves of one.
Yeah, arm 1 never sees the bottom hex, and arm 3 only uses the left one to get the calcification.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the trick when you're talking about track loops in some, because they can be a bit pricey, but it just allows for like cool ideas
that you don't get without the track loop, and it just kind of
Yes.
like because you have two arms like doing completely different things, just occupying the same area, and that can be a really resourceful tool if you kind of have the right movement for it and plan for it.
I feel like this is less of a track loop and more like just two arms sharing a track.
Yeah, because they never go all the way around.
If you think of it that way, it's not really that expensive. It's probably a convergence of two different arms on separate tracks.
Actually, that is a good way of thinking about it, and it's just like, yeah, you can almost think of it as saving track.
Yeah. Since it's, reusing track hexes.
Yeah. Callie Reeses also points out not a single regrab in sight.
That's why it's so fast.
Yeah, there are 4 drop instructions in this programming.
Drop optimized. Should just
Drop
have-
optimized.
I think my TI has fewer drops, but still. It sure is not some optimized.
Okay, so who takes the cake? Who takes the berries?
Is it
Who
still
takes-
not a Jasper or
Who takes
42?
the cheese? In second place at 221. Team
Let's
still not a
find
Jasper.
out.
Which means Team 42 takes some. Before we get there though,
Some main all along.
this whole time. Alright. More glyphs, but no track at all here.
Oh wow.
So, this one, I will be definitely reading all these notes. Because this one actually was made mostly by Kazian, if I understand correctly.
It's the same as mine in the first part. Oh my gosh.
I'd like to welcome Kazian to the Some Main Club, our latest Some Main. It is good to have another one. You are most welcome. Alright, so the notes read: selecting practical reagents is a task normally done by understudies or university staff, but I approached this task with someone even more competent, my correspondent. He casually suggested a 2-atom molecule before leaving me in my work. Living air, the same gas that we use to ripen fruits. Commercially available, wouldn't generate waste. The bonding network would be challenging and we'd require a calcifier. But why use lot atom when few atom do trick? The major breakthrough in this machine was in cracking the bonding network with an unusual dimer, and it permitted the unique length 2 arm geometry that can reuse a single D bonder via pivots. But our final edge is the pivots to deliver the dimer to the output arm. This pivot not only eliminated 2 track segments, but gave the output arm a head start on pivoting. Further, the track required both a positive and negative movement, but a pivot needs no inverse to reset. This freed an instruction from both arms, allowing the machine to run at period 11 rather than 12. I'm pleased that this tonic exists, but if this gendered fluid is as powerful as the story claims, then it will not in fact be used with gender in mind. It will almost exclusively be used to transform into an anthropomorphic animal.
Arising into cat form.
Alchemist Kazian in correspondence with Alchemist Jasper. I think
Wait, the cat girl did design this puzzle,
this is an important point, yeah. So, I guess, as alluded to in the notes, you can see arm 3, the output arm. It gets not 3, but 4 pivots in a row, all useful, before doing like a couple of pivots here. But all 4 of these pivots are useful at the same time.
This is so similar to my solve, but the Critelli covers the difference.
Okay.
Where this solve just drops off the second half.
Like that.
If you pivot about the Critelli on the second half, it's actually a lot better.
I guess with this design, I don't see it yet, because the debonder would debond a correct bond, but I'm guessing this is a pretty good segue to your solve. So, everyone, Team 42 won with a sum score of 215.
6 sum drop is pretty significant on the podium.
That's yeah. You feel the 6 points when you're right at the top. So let's see what Biggie's alluding to here.
Yeah, so it's doing the exact same thing with the halves, but it puts the other air onto the grabber of arm 1 by doing that pivot, which means that it doesn't need a second bonder to finish this. It's
It's handing off where the other solution didn't hand off.
Yeah, it's
It
handing
hands
off so that it can have the best atom in that grabber.
All right, so it goes back to period 12, but there are
Correct.
only 2 bonders and a debonder. It saves on cost, basically.
And it doesn't have to do any extra latency, so it's actually lower latency than that previous solve. But
Yeah, okay.
I mean, latency, but you have extra 5 cycles because of the period.
And you're not actually wasting that many cycles. You don't lose that many cycles because you actually get better latency doing this. Okay, so the notes read from Biggie. My speed solve used this 2-atom input. I knew it would be the simplest for some because it works wastelessly, and I declared early on that it was the only correct input for some. I made a few solutions with 2 arms. Oh yeah, and on that note, I'm pretty sure, yeah, at this point, we can declare this the best reagent for some. There were some interesting attempts made, but yeah, I think this one kind of proved its worth over the other reagents. Anyway, back to the notes. I made a few solutions with 2 arms trying to target a 16 or 14 cycle loop, and my best was 252. It had 2 debonders, and one of the arms was on a triangle track. Then I decided to rule out wasteful solutions by building one with a 3-atom input. Using the bent 120-degree salt air vitae that features in the CG solve, I got to 256. Then using the straight line salt air vitae, I got a 247. The assembly in this was slick, with 12 cycle loop and low glyph count. It took until the last day for me to go back and use the same assembly that featured in that 247 on a solution using the 2-atom input. Immediately, I made a 235 and gradually cut it down to 215. So it was good intuition that this was the only correct input for some. It just was a rocky road to get there. All iterations were shared in the Team 42 DM with Mora and Genius 42. Mora, as a playtester, is just watching along. Genius offered some testing and advice along the way. Very informative moment, I think, that you immediately thought this was the best reagent, but by playing around with the other reagents, you were able to find the best idea for this reagent, which was not when you were thinking about this reagent.
Exactly. It was with the 3-atom stick where I had a gripper already on this vitae to pivot the air onto the bonder like it is done here. Like, that pivot saving so many glyphs was uncovered by doing the stick. And then I was like, wait, but this is better.
Right. I just appreciate, like, I think the willingness to experiment with the other reagents, even though they weren't the best, which is what led to this winning, I think is so cool.
It's taking this. It's going by the spirit of the puzzle. Actually, trying different reagents.
Hello Jasper saying, I was honestly expecting that input pivot to appear more often than just in your and Kazian solves. I agree with that, yeah. I was expecting it a bit more often because I would have guessed it was a good idea based on my experience with the vaporous solvent, because that's where this kind of also comes up. But this whole bonding debonding station idea really kind of clinches it. Really cool use of the fact that there is no one central atom, but there are in fact 2 central air atoms, and both are pivoted to their fullest effect. It is also really nice that just like in Kazian, Team Still Not a Jasper's solve, the the pivoting happens just in time. It's not like 4 useful pivots in a row, but here it's just like clutch timed pivots so that arm 2 can just immediately bond, immediately do its own pivot, and just immediately hand back. And you only need a couple more pivots and you're already there.
I just posted in Weekly thread the 3 atom solve that I had at 247.
Nice. Goodbye Galaxy had the best placing 3 atom solve, and his was a 259. So the 247 was better than anything we actually saw with the 3 atom reagent in the stream.
The secret sauce is the way that this is bonded together.
Actually, I can load up this 247.
That's fair, yeah.
So I believe this is the best 3 atom reagent sum solve submitted. I really like the debonding rebonding that Arm 1 does, actually.
Yeah, I tried to get that to be area efficient. It had a few that were a little bit... It was the exact same cost and cycles, but worse for area. The only saves that brought this to be my new best was to save an area.
First. Wow.
This looks... It does, again, remind me of Not Great Solve, but this is like the final boss version. And yeah, here's where the idea was birthed, to pivot both air atoms and have just like this one really clutch handoff that gets a kind of important geometry shuffling happening so that that one bonder covers everything. But then, yeah, figured it just kind of applied that to the 2 atom region.
I was not going to say that I had the exact same mod 100 sum and cycles secondary because it was 47 versus 45, and Grimmy said that it was the exact same for them, and I was like, okay, probably 45 and 45. And then I dropped it down to 215, and I'm like, all bets are off. I'm actually very lost. But that's because I did a really good job with sum, and my cycles was still okay, but not winning.
Alleged quote-unquote
it's more than
cycles
just
main
okay.
actually performs better in the other metric.
Hey, I won the trans thing. That's pretty sweet.
You did win the trans thing.
Hell yeah.
That is pretty awesome. Alright, I think that that'll wrap it up for the metrics. I'm going to, whoops. my
Week
bad.
3 reveal.
Week 3 reveal.
I'll get the site ready.
Are you gonna post it too?
Probably
For
post it to
the
you
folders?
can just post the link, I think, to the Twitch chat and the Discord.
Alright, tell me when you load it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, the
Big.
poll is ring enlargement. And I don't even need to, like, click on it to... you guys already know. This is the puzzle. This is the
You
whole puzzle.
already know what it is by looking at it.
This is the whole puzzle. It's just a bonding debonding puzzle.
Oh yeah, have fun speed solving this one.
Are the speed solvers ready? And
The
then-
speed
We
solvers
don't
might be
have-
going.
You guys took out the glyph of calcification.
I
Yeah,
took
Pat
that.
did that.
Boo! Boo!
It's like, yeah, it's good enough without it. You don't
No,
need it.
no, it could have been better with it. The metrics. That's the wrong webpage. No, the metrics are not cycles and sum again. I did it again. Alright, the metrics. So, the first metric is area. The secondary...
Because of course.
The secondary for area is number of pivots. So that is a pivot. So I'm reading notes on the website here just to clarify. For the pivots metric, a pivot is one execution of a pivot instruction. The same instruction may be counted multiple times if it is executed more than once. So it is every time like an arm physically pivots. That is the secondary. You're trying to minimize that. And then tertiary will be cycles. Now, the other metric is cost, but with the stipulation that it must be finite area. No waste chains. finite area costs. The secondary is instructions. The tertiary is also cycles.
Have fun.
I like the Aziri flushed emoji.
Oh yeah, I have Twitch emotes now because I got affiliate.
Finite
Yeah,
area
Aziri-
at inf or at validation. At inf.
No. Oh yeah, finite area at inf. Yeah.
Yeah, finite area and inf. It's defined on the website. If you go look at the website, there's definitions.
Basically, there has to be some number of hexes that it stays within for all time. There's no way for it to add to you. That's true.
How do you get infinite at validation? Well, you just gotta, I don't know, make sure it either crashes or loops after it validates. I shouldn't
You
wait.
just need a
No, it can-
infinite reagent and then swing it.
Icelandic lava salt. Yeah, I guess I don't think I explained that too well, but yeah, it
Yeah, finite area stipulates that it needs to run infinitely as well. Yeah.
Yeah, though it doesn't. You can technically stop outputting if you want, but it has to not crash.
Yeah, it just can't crash.
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
It can't crash and it can't gain area indefinitely.
It has to run indefinitely.
Sorry, yeah, it
Puzzles
has
It
to
can
run.
just
Enlargement.
it can just stop doing stuff, Mr. Puzzle style, but like it has to run indefinitely. This puzzle has also been given
Speed
the
solved. Done.
speed solved. Nice.
I can confirm Biggie won the speed solve contest. Incredibly quick. The solution previewer works again. Oh, I can breathe.
It didn't work before because the solution preview previously just had the input as what was it, explosive vial for
Oh right, because it was completely arbitrary input.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we couldn't program that into the previewer. So we
Yeah.
were trying to operate without previews all week. So now we can just look at people's solves immediately and it's great. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go for a very quick toilet break. And when I come back, we will get onto Showcase.
Sweet.
And I will just let this image just kind of sit there and let you all stare at it or speed solve.
I'll do a dramatic
Also-
reading of the flavor text.
Sure.
What do you mean it's not big enough?
Bigger.
That's it. That's the whole flavor text.
Also, this puzzle was under development, giving the affectionate name of Ring Gaping. They have just funny names for most of the puzzles, I think. Well, Die Hard is just a funny name in and of itself. There's Transmogrification, now there's Ring Gaping. Next week, I don't think next week has a joke name.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think we came up with a joke name for next week. Next week is the most serious puzzle we have for the entire Weeklies.
I keep hearing you talk about week 4, and I'm just not sure what to make of it.
It's a fun week. We almost wanted to make that a tournament puzzle. Well, I don't know about fun. It's an interesting week.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I actually immediately knew you guys were talking about week 4.
Be there for week 4. It's a neat puzzle. It's a neat idea.
Okay, let's let me boot up the showcase solve parser, and hopefully everything is running perfectly.
I probably got a lot of showcase offs come in on the last 24 hours because everybody decided, yeah, let's do TI.
Yeah, I'm curious to see everyone's TI solve.
I would not be shocked if I have the lowest primary in TI, but it might have other secondaries.
I see 4 TI submissions. Don't actually have a way to order them, so we'll just go on the solution parser order, and
But
just
yeah,
assume
solution
that's good
parser
enough.
goes by cost.
And just assume that's good enough. So what did? Yeah. We'll just have a play around. So, the first one. Is that the right one? No.
No, I don't think probably it is. So I think you need an F10. You'll just have an F10 in. No?
Hold on.
They all say -1.
They all
is
say,
the
yeah.
directory right for the output? And such.
Hold up. I think I might know what I've done wrong here. Yeah, I got the wrong puzzle. In the.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
I see.
That'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yay! Okay. So they have all the metrics listed, but they're not actually ordered by cost, interestingly. But they do have it listed, so... Alright, this one...
Showcase that might have been changed.
That might have been changed. Did that work?
Looks like it did.
Yeah, it should be the same puzzle, so...
Yeah.
I might just have to press F10 again.
Likely.
Okay, that actually didn't work. Is it like coming up? Yeah, it says it, but...
Maybe it's the other one?
What do you mean the other one? Sorry.
The other Tonic and Transmogrification?
Nah, that one's got no regions.
Oh, okay.
I've done something wrong here. Sorry everyone.
Is the solution file in the folder it's supposed to be in?
Is the solution... Oh, wait. Maybe if I change that.
I mean, it loaded as... Is it sending it to the right place?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Because it's clearly able... The AutoHotkey's clearly able to see the file.
Yeah.
It's just that Opus Magnum isn't able to see it, which implies to me that it's not getting put into the right place.
Yeah, I don't think it is. So username void's done with his speed solve. Alright, check the weekly chat see if I fucked anything up.
Verify doesn't seem wrong. New files. Not user. Puzzle 0000. Solutions. Showcase. The CSV does not matter, but it just. Oh, it looks correct.
There should be a. Is this the showcase swapper specific to this puzzle? Or
No.
generic? Yeah, it needs to be specific to the puzzle because the.
Oh, are you not using? Yeah, it has to be. I'll send that. One moment.
Because it has to rewrite the solution files to have the right input.
I see.
Sorry, we will not have this problem next week. This is just
Yeah.
specific to this puzzle. Sorry,
This is
everyone.
Zorflax not knowing how the AHK for this specific puzzle works.
Because I know how it
'Cause he's
normally
been
works.
busy.
It's just this puzzle that's annoying.
Yeah.
It's a very special case. Yeah, there's no plans to do custom inputs again, but maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Custom outputs is a little harder because you can't do the same trick of making one big puzzle.
Ooh.
But you could swap out the puzzle for every solution or something like that. Or use a mod, I guess.
I'm getting a weird error message now.
Can you screenshot it? Or just copy paste it. I don't know if it's easy to copy paste.
Get a chess game started again if you want to chat.
Yeah, so the showcase has to be. Just copy the stuff from the other.
I did.
Hotkey. So showcase. And it's assigning to the showcase variable because the error is saying that the showcase folder isn't assigned. Like when I say other, I mean the
other
actual
showcase.
solution, not the other showcase, the other solution swapper. It needs to know all of the solutions, both the normal solutions and the showcase solutions, so that it can assign the numbers correctly. So it has to do the same thing where there's a solutions equals the solutions folder, showcase equals the showcase folder.
I'll be real, I'm not sure why it's set up like that, but I'll try and change it.
Plus, we have to make sure we don't overwrite the files in the.
Well, yeah, but like the reason it's like that is because the puzzle, all of the inputs are numbered, and the numbers are based on all of the solutions that exist across both the normal solutions and the showcase solutions. So if it were just looking at the showcase solutions, it wouldn't know the number that it needs to use because it needs to have the context of which full solutions are in there too.
It needs to correspond the number on the puzzle file into the number inside the game.
Right.
And to do that, it needs to know how many inputs are in the other folder as well.
Right. It like makes a list of all the numbers that are used and then sorts them and then looks at the index into that sorted list.
Okay, it worked.
Sweet.
Oh, that was more trouble.
Let's go.
If you ask me, but
Oh my god, the name of this solution.
It's the only way I could think of to make it work, so sorry.
that's okay.
Good. The name of this solution is so apt to our situation.
Me trying to load the HK. Alright.
That's
Alright, so this solve is quote-unquote extremely restricted. No tracks, no multi-bonders, no pistons or multi-arms. Links 1 arms only. Only grab, drop, and rotate instructions are allowed, but only one type of rotate is permitted, i.e. you cannot use both clockwise and counterclockwise. As a consequence, disposals are useless, and so this metric in this input was chosen to be as annoying as possible, yet still solvable.
I'll be right back.
And I think the input was also chosen to be as annoying as possible. Which is why it's just fucking tin and fucking Quicksilver. Alright,
Yeah, I
so
can't even do anything with the Quicksilver because there's no glyph that uses it.
so let's just focus on the product first. So that you guys can actually see it. So I really like this idea of kind of like this constant handoff thing it does at the end here. Also,
Oh,
when
yeah,
it's
we're
not done and
bouncing
it has
around.
to like get the other half into place, that seems like it took a lot more effort than I would have wanted them, but it got there eventually. So as you can see, Mr. Puzzle here is a clockwise main.
Prestigious clockwise metric.
Should do a clockwise. Write that down.
I guess this is technically a TI solve.
It is. That is definitely a TI solve.
It's a T solve, I can say that much.
I'm also gonna. This is actually half P, because yeah, I don't know. That does make it slightly less annoying to program. I'm just kind of. I just want to see how many goddamn waste there is here. So he just has to build a clump and have arm 9 here. Just move the entire clump. So yeah, that's definitely a shape. Oh man. Alright. Gonna move on here. Alright. Next up is Yosh with unstable counterfeit tonic turned real.
Oh, it's the double triplexed fire solve.
Alright. Probably curious about, yeah, the triplex fire that's been there all stream. It's literally just, it makes
I know it has to fix it.
It literally just has to
Oh.
fix the triplex bonds.
Funny story, I was testing some stuff and was looking at the solve, and I had the computation mod still running, and it crashed on this solve because it keeps testing to see if it's the right one by moving it really out there.
There are notes to the solve.
Okay, so I was about to read them actually. I think I may have misunderstood the assignment. What do you mean I wasn't meant to include triplex bonds? It makes the product look so pretty. Frowny face. For an extra funny, notice how, aside from arms 15 and 16, the rest of the machine thinks it's working because it never sees the output failing. To that machine, it's doing fine. This is kind of funny because like the other arms are like literally facing the other way. So if we're like anthropomorphizing the arms, then they kind of quote unquote don't notice. that it's wrong. They just kind of turn around and go back to their thing. Alright. Very nice.
I did that on my like lava salt shit post solve, where it's like the arms all look away and then it turns into other thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lava. It's kind of like the Icelandic lava ship posts.
There you go, inspired by Biggie's Icelandic lava shitpost solve. Alright.
Moving on real quick. This next one is by Team Still Not a Jasper, titled Pride and Prejudice. Cool.
This one.
Whoops. Alright, what's the deal with this one? So the notes read, stabilized air is not a good reagent, but my surplus of it gave me an idea. Out of curiosity, I created the animismus negative of the tonic, not as a serious machine, but for testing. Do not do this. I am now ill.
Got some Cave Johnson energy.
They are making Estonia.
It's the Estonia region.
It's the Estonia output.
Shout out to the Estonians in the chat. All 0 of you.
Estonia is prejudice, apparently. Assuming the trans flag is pride.
Wow, Estonia.
I mean, we could have Estonians in chat. You don't know.
I know one person from the Necrodancer community from Estonia, but I'm not sure if I even remember which name they are. Pretty sure they're not one of the Necrodancer players that joined the Opus Magnum community.
Alright. Have a quick move on. This next one is also submitted by Yosh, titled Average Workshop Puzzle. Okay, see what the idea behind this one is.
It's just, yeah,
Oh, this one doesn't have notes. Okay.
just have water.
Okay, it's literally just elemental water. Workshop puzzle moment.
This does feel like a lot of the workshop puzzles.
Workshop gets about as far as, did you know you can turn this thing into that thing? And then leaves the rest up to you.
Yeah.
I don't know, the workshop is just it was a good place for me to like just design puzzles until I felt like comfortable designing good puzzles. Just kind of like me learning what goes into a well-designed puzzle.
The greatest thing the workshop ever produced was Big Gold Boy. I will take no alternatives.
But what about human DNA to low player DNA?
Ah, yes.
That was legendary, but the greatest is still Big Gold Boy.
I will swear by Rust to Silvered Mirror. I think.
Oh yeah, rest of Silver Mirror is pretty good. I yoinked the Silver Mirror reagent for one of my puzzles.
It is a dope. It was just a cool
Well, not the
idea.
reagent, the product, and use it as a reagent. Yeah,
Yeah, that
I'm surprised.
puzzle, Rust to Silver Mirror was the first time I had I had fun area optimizing, actually. I never area optimized before that puzzle, and then I like beat the posted record by 2 hexes, and I was so proud. It was good. You can learn how to get good at the game by just chilling on the workshop.
Let me check if there's notes for you, Yosh.
No, there, it actually says this section intentionally left blank.
So no, no. I mean,
Zornak actually thought it was left blank.
I didn't think it was left blank. I saw that. I'm like, okay, no notes. All right, moving on. We have a speed solve by username Void. This is what the speed solve looked like. There's a fair amount of... Oh, wait. Which are the bonds? Oh, God. How do I... Okay. There it is.
Speaking, who won the speed solve for this week as well? For Tonic?
I did a speed solve. I think I was the fastest, but I did not actually submit it as showcase, so it was just going to be a overwritten. It had 363 something.
It's not even that bad. Considering this is just like 320 cost straight out of the gate.
Yeah, the speed solve was just 2 arms. It was just a little too slow and big area-wise.
Alright. Moving on. We have a few of our TIs. Actually, we'll do all the TIs in a row. It's not in order, because it's ordered by cost. So, it's not from least instructions to most instructions, but it's like most expensive.
Let's just hope it is.
Yeah, I already know it's not. So it's the first one is submitted by Mr. Puzzle. So we got 9, starting with 9 instructions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this probably can go pretty low on instructions.
Cool use of the a biarm here to kind of only grab every third, so you can get 3 pivots in, and so arm 1 can just never use 2 of the regents that get pulled. They just go around forever. TI tactic.
Yeah, it's got that flag twirling going.
It
That's
does.
a cool way to use the debonder.
To remove the bond that is connecting it to the thing that, yeah, would pull it off.
Yeah, I do actually like the debonder there. And then other than that, it's just once you get the whole thing bonded together in the right shape, it's a glyph minefield to the output, and it does fit before you run out of space, fortunately. So, here's our first TI solve. Next up is Calliuresis. It's faster but bigger, but also 9 TI.
Yeah, it looks like people really took to the hex arm way of getting the halves built.
It's a very similar idea, except instead of needing any filthy pivots, arm 2 just rotates all the way around, and arm 3 grabs it, goes through a bit of a glyph minefield, calcifies, outputs, and it outputs kind of nicely that arm 1 gets its region just out of the way before outputting, so kind of clutch that fit. Otherwise you're going to struggle to find room to calcify. I guess you could have still calcified, but... Actually, could you have? No, yeah, it's hard to place a calcifier elsewhere. Anyway. It fits, so I guess it's a moot point. Next up is Gecko's TI attempt. These are all exactly 190G, but this one does have 1 extra instruction.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Everyone's
Hmm?
using the hex arm to make the halves except me.
Is that what you did?
I did not. I did something different, and I have a lower TI than anyone here.
There you go. It was a trap all along.
Telling you, overrated.
X arms are overrated.
Are Hex Arms overrated for TI? Let's have a look. Last minute TI showcase. It is in fact 8 TI. And,
Ooh, one lower.
and ARM 1, that is definitely an instruction tape I like to see.
Oh, yeah, it's this one.
I see.
Yeah, it works. It's the funny bi arm with an extra pivot so that
Funny
it can put the two
bi-arm.
parts with it.
So strong.
Ooh,
It's so funny.
well, that's a good solve.
That's some good TI.
You read the notes. I feel good about not just that this is my solve, but how fast I came up with it.
Well, no tissues for Biggie, I guess.
Too bad this won't ever go on the leaderboard because we can't put this puzzle on the leaderboard.
You literally cannot put this one on the leaderboard. By
We
definition.
could put it with all the reagents that are like good.
We combine this puzzle into we just combine this puzzle into the 9,000 or so reagents.
Yeah, I guess the problem with that is that then you can place all the reagents if you're according to normal rules.
True. Throughput would just be, output limited then.
Yeah.
Alright. We will move on. We got a few more to go through. The first one is submitted by Communist Mountain, which is, I think, their first submission for the year. So, GC stands for GigaChad. And it is using...
GC if you use a horrible input.
If, in case you're wondering what the OWO region was, this is the solve it is used for.
The OVO reagent.
I don't have a better description for it. Well, I could just call it the Bigold Earth region, but that's less funny.
OVO, what's this?
Oh, what's this metric?
OVO is for avian furries. Oh my god, the fact that Verlo has to spin to get out of the way to avoid BS collision.
So reading the notes, Burlo does not need to use counterclockwise rotate to reset because it resets every 3 inputs, 2 clockwise per input. 12 inputs are needed, which is a multiple of 3. This saves 1 area. So the assembly order of us to pay attention to. I don't see anything wrong with it. I couldn't tell you there's a better one without like really messing around with it myself. This seems alright. Maybe if you like used the mirror tool to mirror it and just did salt last, maybe that'd be better. Maybe not.
Josh calling out that if we have stabilized lead as an input, 12 inputs can make 1 output and 1 bonded iron copper
Nice.
for the
So you
perfect
have
trans.
purification.
What's the non-binary symbol again? Like, is there like a clear symbol like there is for the male-female symbol?
I don't know, I just know the transgender one. I've seen ones with an asterisk instead. Yeah, it seems to be it's the asterisk one.
Oh, so...
Or some people use mercury. Huh.
Grimmy just barely got 0th place cycles solved before end of stream. You're welcome to submit it and have a look because we are nearing the end of the stream. But if you submit it or DM it to me, I can quickly throw it in. So
325.
Yeah, there's also a GIF in the Discord.
Yeah, it's just in the Weeklies channel.
okay, if it's too much to bother with, then you don't have to. But it is an option. So we do have a Grimmy solve anyway. This is Grimmy's best attempt at 3-atom sum, 255. Grimmy writes, sum is better with a 2-atom input, but for the record, here's my best sum with the cycles. It does look rather similar to what Biggie had, but Biggie probably had the slightly stronger motif. Wait. I opened up uTorrent there. What the hell? Okay, so this 3-atom reagent for some actually uses the bent one, which I don't think the others did. Which is fine, because it just it kind of gives me Cycles-esque vibes to it, even though it is a pretty good sum score.
It even has a cycles reagent, yeah.
Okay, good. I see Grimmy submitted it. I think I'll just download the solution file directly after we get through our last showcase submission, which is submitted by Mr. Puzzle. Titled Transmogrification Central. Oh, it's a overlap. I do know the TikTok that's being referenced there. I assume it's the TikTok, and it's a Disney song, but I'd never heard it before.
It's Tonic's being produced at high speeds.
This is very overlap. So it is it does use four reagents though. Also, I still have the overlap view turned on. Look at me go.
Let's go. Even though this probably isn't complicated, you can kind of tell what it is.
It's not complicated actually. No.
Yeah, just place the bonds.
Just
You place the bonds, you place the inputs, you place the calcifiers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... Oh, I need a couple debonders, put all the necessary bonds in, couple calcifiers, and Bob's your uncle. Robert's your father's brother. Alright. I do want to have a look at this 0th place solve before we call it a stream though. So I'm just gonna download it directly from the website.
Yeah.
Just throw it in.
You'll either need the correct puzzle or to use the auto hotkey to swap it in.
Oh,
to get it to show up.
okay. Alright, I think I will do that then.
I mean, it's showcase, and it's an input that already exists. I think it's fine. Just throw it into the showcase folder, you just run the showcase.
Alright.
Yeah, that'll
Should be there.
Yeah. It should. It might not work. It probably
not?
will work. It sorts.
because
the,
it's a.
It actually sorts the files by name, not by the index of the I forgot. It may or may not work. Try it. See what happens. I'm curious.
Well, if it doesn't work, just run the cycles first and then run the showcase.
Yeah.
Alright, moment of truth. It worked.
Hell
Hey,
yeah.
something went right in my AHK today. Yay!
The hex arm is dead.
Rip.
The hex arm though.
The hex arm has relocated.
Right, they turned the tri-arm into a hex arm just for giggles.
Oh, yeah, is there any reason to change it? Or just convenience?
Just for the funny.
So it was in fact Biggie's solve that got optimized into 0th place for those keeping track at home. Also, Grimmy posted in the Weeklies chat a very nearly 305, which would have been really cool.
I think it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's just turning the triangle track that
Yeah.
makes outputs into the 2-arm triangle track they had in their solve, but the timing isn't good in this one.
Not, yeah. Couldn't quite get that nice timing. So you got, after all that, it's still unclear which is the best region for cycles.
Nobody has to work on the stick one yet. Even though that's probably pretty shaved.
Yeah,
It was
Grimmy
pretty
did
much
mention
just
they didn't see
Fangir
anything.
designed it and Rebix cut down secondaries. That was pretty much it. So maybe there's more there, I don't know. As I said, that's why I think it's still unclear which is the best region for cycles.
It's still really close.
It's very close, yeah. Oh, okay. So at some point there was actually meant to be a it was actually meant to be a wheel arm at one point, but now it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we can call that a stream. So this one
A
was
little almost 4 hours.
almost 4 hours. Yeah, we had a lot of solves to go through actually,
Ow.
and technical difficulties, which I
Yeah.
really apologize for.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was technical difficulties.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us. It was a very specific week.
I feel like when I feel like I'll take longer to upload this to YouTube because I'll try and edit out the technical difficulties bits.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it'll look a bit smoother as a YouTube video, but I'll just keep the VOD up and so people can watch the Twitch VOD. So we'll call that a week. I promise we will not have technical difficulties next week. Not only is it a straightforward puzzle in terms of submission, but I actually have like time and shit, so I can like playtest and like make sure stuff's working a lot more diligently next week and beyond. So thank you for bearing with us. Other than that, it was a really cool stream. Cycles and Sum were both great metrics, and I think the puzzle is attributed to Tonic Transmogrification was attributed to the Weeklies crew. I did not have a hand in designing this, so big shout out to Panic and Bist and Haxton for making sure this is such a fun puzzle. All credit goes to them. And for
We did not do any playtesting with cycles. We just trusted that it works.
Yeah, I think Haxton came up with it originally, and then
Yeah, Haxton came up with the concept, and like I started thinking of other inputs and shit. Not other. We started like brainstorming different forms of the output, and then like halfway through, Haxton was like, "Hey, these are the trans colors." I'm like, "Oh hell yeah!"
I think yeah, I think at one point I think I chimed in with oh, this is a really cool idea. You guys should we should implement it, and that was the extent of my contribution to this puzzle.
Yeah, but like this also gave birth to the discussion. Also gave birth to week 4, and you had quite a big hand in that one.
Yeah. Week 4 is a different beast altogether, though. I'm looking forward to that one. All right.
Week 4 is me. Week 4 is mostly me and you.
Yeah, week 4 would be you and I think. All right, we'll call that a week though. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll hope to see you next week.
I hope you all enjoyed it.
I hope by next week your rings have all been enlarged.
I hope your rings have been gaped by next week.
All right.
We will see to it.
Ciao.
Thank you. See you.
See ya.
Bye.